What's going on? Hey, what's going on, Song? At least I catch some people I know. I saw Dan. Forgive me for those who I know, but I don't know that I know, because that's probably going to happen. So we wanted to put together like a nutritionally specific scope for you guys. That's kind of just kind of like more reason based than science based. Uh, Science is I love science. I grew up like in a science family, and if anything, I'm amazed at how Nick's in there. Name same Taylor. What's going on? But yeah, so I grew up in a a family that really worshipped science and openly didn't go to church and that sort of thing. So obviously I had that influence. So I grew up that way. But as I got older, I've realized that sometimes science is just a tool, and if we don't use the tool properly, then we can end up with some problems. And I think that's happened in nutrition. I think you guys probably would agree. We've been told things that are good for us and then things that are bad for us. It's gone back and forth and just kind of got yanked all over the place and confused. And there's so many diets out there and so much nutritional information out there now. It's just like it's a mess. So I figured I need to come through and kind of try to simplify the mess. And through all the studies I've done, you guys probably already know this. Those who have seen me before, I always default to that the number one tracing all our problems backwards always seems to come back to carbohydrates. And it makes good sense because carbohydrates are cheap. And so it makes sense that they are plentiful. And it works great for like industrial and factory farming and that sort of thing. So it also happens to be addictive and it tests well. So when a corporation goes and does a test, they will um, say which one tastes best. And it's always the one with the most carbs. So that, and then of course, it gets people addicted to come back and buy those products over and over again. They're cheap to produce. Yeah, forks over knives. Yep, that's a good one. Although I think we'll get to the at the end. I'm going to talk a little bit about vegetarian and veganism. And one of the things that this list that I put together is going to do is put things kind of in order of importance. So, and generally, there's only about four major issues of nutrition I think are major, and only one of them that actually in the end really probably really matters, and that's the first one, which is the carbohydrate issue. If you are eating a diet that has a lot of simple carbs, you're probably addicted to simple carbs. Your body and your digestive system are set up for simple carbs. That that results in uh, chronic disease. The top four killers of humans in the Western world would be heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and autoimmune disease. And I'm probably they all seem to be they come together in a clump. In the places in the world that have Western diets, we see that big clump of disease. And in the places in the world that they eat whole foods, they don't tend to have that kind of disease. They may have other kinds of disease. If you're a scoping dose, Taylor, clean the litter box. I don't think so. I actually just got done shoveling, and I don't think I could talk her into shoveling snow or kitty litter, which is fine, fair enough because I don't mind doing that. There's a lot of things she does that I can't do, like read. So, reading books. I used to read a lot of books. I don't read books now. Anyway, so rule number one, guys, is the carbohydrate issue. What I'm suggesting is that if we're eating a meal that is almost all carbs, or that's going to cause some serious blood sugar problems. And so Dr. Barry Sears from the Zone, he created what they call the Zone diet. We probably have a Zone book over here somewhere. But the Zone diet is based on balancing out your carbs, fat, and protein. He called it a 4-3-3 rule. So 4 carbs, 3 fat, 3 protein. That's grams. When we're talking about carbs, just talking about net carbs. So on the back of your nutritional label, it would say like carbohydrates, and then you subtract the fiber because fiber doesn't digest, so it doesn't really affect your blood sugar. If anything, it actually slows down how fast the stuff gets into your blood. So you do want food that has fiber in it, but you don't need to count that in your carbs in this 4-3-3 balance. The 4-3-3 thing is just a guide. It's not a hard fast rule, but it's a general idea. So every time you eat, you're supposed to eat a balanced carbs, fats, and proteins. And I think if we did a food journal, most people today in the Western world do not have anything even remotely close to that. It's more like almost all carbs with a little bit of fat. Usually it's probably bad fat, right? The cheap stuff. That's vegetable oil, GMO fat, or whatever. And then protein is expensive. So because protein is expensive, they want to keep prices cheap at McDonald's. They're going to give you crappy protein. We're talking about industrial meat, and that's where forks and knives comes into play. We're not as smart as you. We need to be told what to eat, not 4322. So I hear you. I hear what you're saying, right? You're just saying like, give me a list of foods I can eat. I don't want to do math every time I have a meal. And I completely agree with that. I don't ever sit down and like measure out my freaking carbs and weigh them on a scale. I may have done that once or twice for experimental reasons, but I just kind of go approximately, and I try to keep my carbs limited. One thing that I did was I cut sugar and flour just completely out of my diet, and that solved that problem. And the only carbs that I get are from vegetables for the most part. Maybe I'll eat some purple corn chips, but that's corn. But I just cut that crap out, right? We know you don't need to do math to figure out that Twinkies are not a 433 balanced protein. Um, and a candy bar that, let's say, for example, you had to choose between a Nestle Crunch and a Snickers bar. The Snickers bar has peanuts in it. That's got fat and protein. So at least we know the Snickers bar is closer to a good balance than a Nestle Crunch bar, just by this philosophy. Everyone should reach their own diet. Yeah, it's a mess out there, and it's true. Like what I'm going to tell you guys, these things, this is just like some of the strategies you can use, some of the things to consider. Everybody's going to have their own path. I cut sugar and flour out of my diet because I was addicted to it and I was having really bad health problems. So I felt better almost immediately, and I knew that I needed to do it. My friend, told me I already knew about the 433 thing and stuff, but I just was not living it. When I got into some serious medical problems, basically what happened was my inner ear like exploded and caused vertigo. That'll get your attention. And I lost my hearing in that ear. It's called Meniere's disease. The doctors don't know what causes it. They think it's just like bad luck. They don't really have a good surgery to fix it, and it's miserable. Basically, it means you have vertigo. Some people get vomiting and just like, dude, it's one of the worst things that you could have happen. And it kind of can strike all of a sudden and then leave you alone for a while. It's all kinds of disaster. They told me to quit, eating salt. They told me to take a diuretic, which is a pill that makes you lose all your water, and that's all this really advice they had. I didn't do any of that. I just stopped eating sugar, and my problems went away over time. I got some of my hearing came back. I got 20% of my hearing back in that ear. My other ear is absolutely perfectly fine. So I'd like to keep it that way. So, anyways, everybody's gonna have a different weak point. Your Achilles heel. Mine was my ear. Other people, they have obesity. Obviously, I don't get obese. I tend to have the opposite problem. I get skinny. So, a fast food diet. Yeah, I mean, basically, if you went into fast food and you try to do keep this in mind. You're thinking, all right, I want to aim for protein and not for sugar. You could say, I'm going to avoid the cola and just get some chicken McNuggets or whatever. That's going to put you in a better balance. Um, Imagine that. Can you imagine going fast food with no cola? That's a great step in the right direction for your health. You'll probably live longer just from doing that alone. So it doesn't matter where you are on your journey. If you just kind of start heading in the direction of cutting out those simple carbs, you're probably going to see an improvement in the way that you feel. And once you start feeling better, then maybe you'll feel like I can tackle some of this hard stuff. Quitting an addiction is really hard to do. So check it out, Dr. Barry Sears. Maybe if you want to do some reading, check into that. But that is, out of all the nutritional jargon and mess out there, that's really the only thing you need to know. It's the thing to focus on. It's the hardest thing to do because it's addictive. Unsweetened tea is a great cola fast food substitute. Yep, I would tend to agree with that. Um, a lot of tea is very sweetened, so if you can find an unsweetened tea, that's probably not a bad idea. And there's tons of other beverages you can get. They typically aren't going to be as cheap as cola. Cola is an industrial product. Anything that's industrial can be cheaper. Industrial hamburgers, there's sacrifices that are made. So one big meal a day or 3 to 4. So basically, when we're talking about the 4-to-3-3 balance, what we're really trying to do is limit your actual carbohydrates. And they'll talk about this in the zone diet. We're trying to limit your overall simple carbs to probably 30 grams or less, depending on how big you are physically. So that implies that you'd rather have more meals spread out through the day. If you don't eat all day and then you go home and binge, you could eat 150 grams of carbs, maybe 200. No matter how much protein and fat you eat, your blood sugar is going to go off the charts if you do that. Your blood sugar will go up high, and then it will drop back down when the insulin kicks in. Sometimes it'll drop down too low, and then it'll slowly rise back up. And then as that's happening, you're gonna get hungry again, and you'll go for like dessert, and then it'll do it again. You go through another spike and another dip. That kind of thing is disastrous for the body. What's going on? So yeah, you're not just keeping your balance of protein and fat, but also keeping your overall carb intake low over time. No, it's not actually. I do, this is something I've been studying for years. I've been studying nutrition for years. It's not my profession. I'm not a scientist. I don't have any dog in this fight. I just want to help people. And this is what I see when I look at the world. This is what I see when it comes to nutrition. I studied it. I started off with Arnold Schwarzenegger's the Modern Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding, and basically the idea he was actually right on a lot of things in that manual. He is just like, yeah, just eat eggs, eat meat, it's fine, you know. And he's actually, without even doing any science at all, he's just saying what works. Like bodybuilders can find out empirical results. I'm sorry if I'm missing some comments, some good comments here. Yeah, so experience can be powerful. That's why I said this isn't really going to be science based. Although I'd be willing to put my money that science will back this stuff up. And if you go looking for science to back up these things, you will have no problem finding it. I'm more interested in reason. I'm more interested in evolution. So if you have something that you're suggesting we should eat, and we haven't been eating it for the last 2 million years, or maybe 200 million years, because animals have had stomachs for hundreds of millions of years, then I'm sorry, I missed a comment regarding bananas. We'll get to that one too. If it's not something that's been around for 200 million years, it's guilty until proven innocent. So we could say like corn syrup, for example, high fructose corn syrup. That's not. It's an industrial product. It's not something we were evolved to digest. It's going to mess up the flora and fauna in your digestive system. So I would be very skeptical of anything that's brand new, and I would put a big thumbs up on something that's been around for 100 million years or 200 million years. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, to be honest with you, I feel hungry all the time, every day, all day. Just a little bit hungry. I like it like that. I think that an appetite reminds me of health. If I don't have an appetite, it reminds me of sickness. I like to have a slight appetite all the time. What I don't like to have is a craving where it's like, I gotta have some sugar. Stevia, yeah, stevia is kind of new, isn't it? And it's a concentrate. Stevia is a stepping stone to help you transition from sugar to fix your taste buds so you don't need so much sugar. The formula of a low carb diet, yeah. I think out of all the fad diets and all the millions of diets out there, the low carb diet is the one that matters. That's the one that you're going to get results. You're going to feel better. The invention of corn syrup, 25%. Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it. I mean, we have children that are being born with practically obese already, being born obese almost. In some cases, having diabetes at a very young age. This happens to pets too, actually, believe it or not. Some pets that are obese, we feed our pets crap. I was just thinking about that because you can kind of see my fat cat right there. So, yeah, I like to be skeptical of things that are new. Stevia is a stepping stone. At least it's a natural plant extract, but I'm sure that if over time, if you eat enough stevia, we could probably do studies and find out there's something wrong with it. Honey on your cereal, not sugar. I actually can't make a good case for any cereal. Um, look at the nutritional labels. They're made out of oat flour and wheat flour and rice flour. The carb ratio is off the charts. When you add milk to it, that actually does add some protein and fat. But man, I got myself into trouble with cereal. I eat 150 grams of carbs. I'm overweight. What shouldn't I eat? Flour and sugar. That means obviously sugar is obvious, but flour isn't so obvious. Flour has the exact same effect on the body as sugar has. You could eat a piece of bread, you could spoon out some table sugar. Oatmeal, I would say oatmeal is almost pure carbs. But if you go oat bran, you're going to get more protein and more fiber. So oat bran might be something to look into. And it tastes just like oatmeal. It kind of looks just like oatmeal. It's same price as oatmeal. You can get organic oat bran. Give that a shot. I used oat bran to help me transition away from bread because I was kind of desperately addicted to bread when I quit sugar and flour. So pasta is made out of pure carbs, right? So pasta is not really probably a great food on any scale. It sounds like pasta would be better than a bowl of Trix or Fruit Loops or something, but it's really not that much different. So beware of pasta, beware of bread. No more bread. Yeah, that's right. If you want to lose weight, I would recommend cut bread loose. You'll probably find it extremely difficult because, like I said, it's addictive. So That's a tough one. That's rule number one here. It's probably the toughest thing you can do. If you think you're tough and you don't want to waste time, go right here. Cut sugar and flour, and you'll be so much better off. You actually get to see the difference, and it'll be a lifelong change that you can experience. You could probably extend your life. I mean, I could go on all day about the benefits of cutting and quitting sugar and flour. So that's rule number one, and we'll come back to that later a little bit. This is a message of hope. You know, it sounds miserable. I'm saying no more ice cream, but the truth of the matter is this is a message of hope because I'm saying that we're doing something as a culture that's so huge. Chocolate bacon pasta. Oh no, chocolate bacon pasta is okay. Breakfast, I know that's a tough one, right? That is a tough one. Don't do it. Don't eat the carbs for breakfast. If you want to have a nice, strong energy during the day, you have to eat a balanced breakfast. I would recommend eggs. Put an emphasis on eggs. Eggs are fat and protein. So then eggs plus vegetables makes a fantastic meal. I know eggs got a bad rap because they have saturated fat and cholesterol, and we've been told that that creates heart disease. But I completely disagree. From a science point of view and from a reason point of view, eggs and saturated fat do not cause heart disease. It's a huge mistake. There's tons of doctors out there, tons of books out there to support that. Logic supports that. Evolution supports that. Reason supports that. Soy and whey. Whey protein and soy protein are porridge. Yeah, porridge is basically oatmeal, but I'd recommend oat bran. Oatmeal sometimes is pre-cooked and it's really high carbs. Whey protein is micronized in some cases, and that, believe it or not, it's probably better than sugar, but believe it or not, it can turn into sugar. Turns out trans fats are a problem. Yeah, exactly. We were told to eat margarine instead of butter, and then they're like, oops, no, that was actually extremely bad idea. And I completely agree. And once again, that's evolution supports that, reason supports that. Nothing new under the sun. If you create a new food and suddenly it causes a problem, yes, the fat cat has appeared. Free range eggs, yes, definitely. Industrial eggs and free range eggs are two different creatures, but I have that lower on my list of importance. Cream of wheat is almost pure carbs. I would be aware of that one. Wheat does have more protein than some other grains. Very educated. Yes, we do a lot of reading, a lot of studying, a lot of thinking. I feel blessed to be able to spend time doing thinking and thinking these things through. Whey protein, soy protein are probably better than sugar, but I would beware. Soy protein is GMO, and it's got some people are concerned that soy protein has estrogen mimicking compounds, so bodybuilders supposedly will avoid it. Sugar substitutes, I would say consider sugar substitutes as a stepping stone to help you transition. Because this is so critical, because the sugar issue is so critical, whatever it takes. You got to use aspartame, drink diet cola. I think that's a stepping stone to get away from the addiction. If you can actually kick the addiction to carbs, you will no longer crave carbs. It's just like cigarettes or something. You know, I quit smoking cigarettes. I was desperately addicted. Had a cigarette every single day since from day one. Stevia is a great stepping stone, a tool to help you escape. And I think eventually you'll find you probably don't even need the stevia anymore. Once your body and your taste buds adjust to not having sweets and sugar, you're going to feel like a hero every time you walk through the aisle without eating the candy bars because, man, are they tempting. How about rice? Rice is a tough one. You know, there's entire cultures out there that eat a lot of rice. Sugar and orange juice is a major problem. Rice as a whole food, it is almost pure carbs, right? So I would be aware of that, just like anything. If you do too much, even if it's a whole food organic rice, I would say I'd rather see people eat some carbs, some fat and protein with that. And I think if you look at the real things that they eat over there, they do that. I wish I could give you some specific data on that, and I know there is some good stuff out there. No substantial evidence GMOs are bad. Okay, we'll talk about GMOs a little bit later. I'll tell you what I have concerns about GMOs, and there's a lot more to it. Dan on Fleek is got some knowledge, no doubt about it. He knows some things, some of the inside scoop on some of this stuff. And GMO is down here, by the way, rule number 4. So I'm not saying that you guys need to go organic to get these massive benefits to your health. I'm talking about sugar primarily. I would suggest that whey protein is GMO. I'm sorry, soy protein is almost all GMO. GMO is horrible, moms and nurse. There could be serious problems, but we're still learning. We're still figuring that out. It's guilty until proven innocent. Concerns are fine. It's good to question things. Yeah, it really does. It really pays off to question. We will. We're going to do that. We're going to just like rail through this list in a second here. I'm going to just give you guys some the nail this right down. Netflix does have some great nutritional videos. Cut the food to fruit, vegetables, and proteins. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, if you can cut sugar and flour out, yeah, that's all you need to know. The rest of it is secondary, I would say. Although you're going to want to explore this probably. Without GMOs, most of the population world will starve. That's what we've been told. You know, we've been told that. Joel Salatin would have some other points of view on that. Check out Joel Salatin. He explains some. He does some organic farming on a large scale. Makes a lot of money, but he does puts a lot of care. Makes high quality products. Joel Salatin was a mentor for Tai Lopez. I just love that guy. I wish he would be president. Natural grown food. Yep, that's exactly what it's about. Natural grown food. That's what we're going to come down to. It's been around for hundreds of millions of years. Turns out it works really well. Potatoes, that's a tough one. That's a tough one. If you eat potatoes as a whole food, that's kind of hard to say that those are deadly, but check your blood sugar time sometime. To eat some potatoes, check your blood sugar. You'll see it spikes. It's not expensive to check your blood sugar. You can get a machine for like $6 and a pack of strips for like $15 and actually check your blood sugar 45 minutes or an hour after you eat and check out where your peaks go when you eat different things. Our body breaks down. Starch City, yeah, exactly. Yeah, potatoes are huge on the glycemic scale. They're very high on the glycemic scale. Clone non-GMO genetics through tissue propagation. Sure. I mean, there's going to be limits to monocropping, but that's probably a better approach. With nutrition, there's a lot in the media. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot of problems when there's big money involved. No seeds needed. Yeah, probably true. You could definitely do some propagation, cloning, and stuff like that, hybridization. But here's some problems with hybridization, guys. In the paleo diet, it suggests things like bananas and things. Bananas are like this much. They're this big. They're pure sugar. That's a problem. Bananas don't actually occur that way in nature. We've bred them that way. You can eat meat as long as you have some healthy. I tend to agree with that. Yeah, a small amount of meat is probably not a bad option. I'm dealing with type 2, so I'm real careful counting carbs. That's awesome. Yeah, you can probably. I would not be surprised if you could actually reverse type 2 if you absolutely just go to war against simple carbs. I would highly recommend giving it a shot. All right, so we're going to go through this. Rule number one is the carb fats. It's not just the balance, but the quantity. How many can you eat less than 30 carbs at a time, and then maybe a couple hours later you have another meal, that kind of thing. That's why I say I have a little bit of an appetite all day. I just can kind of eat and graze all day long and keep my blood sugar stable, keep my energy levels up. Number two, vegetable content. The number two most important thing that I think we have in the Western world is a problem with vegetable content. Vegetables have micronutrients, chlorophyll, antioxidants, soluble fiber. We're talking about green leafy things. We're talking about spirulina. So fruit, fruit is a concern. That's why I say vegetable here because, like I said, fruits are hybridized. Apples are this big. A crab apple is this big. That's a real apple. This is a hybrid apple. That's way too much sugar. I would say if you're going to eat an apple, eat half an apple and eat a bunch of peanut butter or something with it. That's carbs and fat, fat and protein to kind of level out that massive amount of sugar. You can eat an apple; it's not going to hurt you. It's better than eating a cola, but it is a lot of sugar. So I would be aware of fruits that are hybridized to be gigantic and huge high sugar fruits. Even if they're organic, they can still have been hybridized. So I'm a little concerned about fruit. Definitely a glass of OJ has got way too many carbs. If you drink it, you will blast your liver and blast your pancreas. So I don't recommend drinking fruit juice. I'd recommend eating a fruit or eat half a fruit if it's a hybridized gigantic fruit. And make sure to eat something with it like some healthy fats, some almonds like somebody mentioned earlier. Dip apples in peanut butter, absolutely. Bananas, yeah. Bananas and apples, big a big hybrid fruit that we've created, that man created. That's not like evolutionarily real. Smoothies, yeah. If you wear it in the smoothies, yeah, you're talking massive amounts of carbs in those smoothies if you use bananas and apples and things like that. So you gotta take that into consideration. Although again, there's worse things you could do in the world, like taking a cola or something or having some ice cream. I'd rather see people eat high sugar smoothies any day. Blueberries and raspberries. See, that's a more realistic, real fruit that you can eat. I highly recommend those. Oranges, yep, oranges are good. Same thing, they are gigantic. I mean, I would definitely go half an orange or less at a time. A banana sandwich earlier, I bet that was. I love banana bread, but like I said, I don't eat bread anymore. If I eat a banana, I eat half a banana. Okay, so vegetable content. I would love to see that if rule number two, the best thing I think you could do is add that into your diet somehow. I find that personally challenging. Some people don't. But in the everyday American diet, you go out there, you're gonna have a hard time getting some high quality green leafy stuff. We're talking like bitter. I mean, if you look at iceberg lettuce, there's very little nutrition in there. A real I find it to be a problem because it's not very tasty to me. It's not very convenient. I put it in the fridge, it goes bad. So what I do is I use spirulina or make a smoothie. Wheat bread. Yeah, wheat bread is a little lower on the glycemic scale than white bread. White bread is just an abomination, quite frankly. Wheat bread is a little closer to reality, you know, but even then, it's still pretty high on the glycemic scale. I think it's like a 50. White bread's like a 70. So wheat bread's a problem to eat a lot of. Maybe a sandwich with half a piece of bread. Low food map foods. Yeah, a lot of people are doing better on low glycemic foods, no doubt about it. Okay, so number three I put is healthy fats. Healthy fats is regarding omega-3s, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, grass-fed dairy products. It's grass-fed dairy products are, in particular, I think raw grass-fed dairy is the way to go. Again, because it's the closest thing to real and evolutionary. Juice your greens, absolutely. Yep, that makes it more convenient, you know. It's going to be pretty hard to get those things in your diet. You can make a green smoothie with some hardcore dark green stuff, and you can add stevia to it, add a little bit of banana or apple, whatever it takes. Take the edge off and just down the hatch. That makes it. If you could do that once a day, I think it'd be good for your health. I just can't see you could go wrong there. Um, the Gerson therapy is one kind of controversial cancer treatment therapy that uses that approach. They just kind of lean on they're like they don't even worry about sugar. They're just like go crazy juicing these vegetables till the person is healed. That's their strategy. They use other techniques too, but that's kind of the main point. So healthy fats, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, grass-fed dairy raw. Avoid GMO vegetable oils. So you ever think about it? What is a vegetable oil? Oil isn't those oils aren't made out of vegetables, right? If it was corn oil, I guess you could say it was a vegetable oil. But most vegetable oil in the market today ain't from vegetables, it's from grains. And those grains are GMO. So we'll talk a little bit about what the problem is with GMO next. So I would say avoid vegetable oils when you're fats. The reason is because they're high in polyunsaturated fat, and when you cook them, they go rancid. When you eat rancid fats, it does damage to your arteries. When your arteries get damaged, you end up repairing that damage and you get calcium and cholesterol deposits. Depending on if the body has what it needs to manage that, you can end up with damaged arteries. So eating damaged vegetable oils is a major problem. That's probably not as major as eating the sugar in the first place. So yeah, olive oil. Now even olive oil does have omega-3s, and omega-3s are polyunsaturated as well. They don't like to be heated up. If you heat them up, they go bad. They go rancid, essentially. They get oxidized. And when you have that circulating throughout your body, it can cause some like micro damage. Over time, that can make a mess. I'm interested in diet for PCOS? I'd like to hear more about it. So yeah, I mean, that's so common, guys. GMO vegetable oils are so cheap. They're so common. They're in every food. Just look at the little ingredients. They're in like salad dressing and all kinds of. They're just everywhere. There's soybean oil mostly. Um, again, it's not the critical thing, but it's something. It's something to consider. I go coconut oil whenever possible. It handles cooking a little better. Is coconut oil a healthier option? It's like salt or sea salt. I think so. I think coconut oil is a significantly healthier option. Um, Especially if you can get organic coconut oil at Walmart for like 15 bucks for like a 3.5 pound jug. So it's very affordable and available. It's got a lot of uses besides just nutritional, but it's a major source of calories that are not carbs. So that can help your carb fat protein balance if you take coconut oil into your life. You can even just take a spoonful of coconut oil. If you just accidentally screwed up and had too much ice cream or something really sugary, you can take a spoonful of coconut oil to kind of slow down that absorption into your body. So rule number 4 I got here is organic versus industrial. So the GMOs fall into the category of industrial, obviously. The reason is because they're trying to mass produce things. And when you're trying to mass produce things, it's like there's a certain formula. What they're looking for is to make an acceptable quality at the lowest price possible. Quality is not the first characteristic they're aiming for. They're aiming for yield. They're trying to get a large quantity of something. So that's what the market demands. That's what the most people want. If you go on, that's what they want. They're ready to pay 3 cents less and sacrifice a little quality. Then most people are good with that. So if you take that approach, you end up with things like GMO, bioengineered herbicide resistant insecticide built into the corn. And basically, that's what they'll do with their crops. That's industrial crops, as opposed to clean crops, which don't have herbicide sprayed all over them, and they're not grown in petrochemical fertilizer. The second thing wrong with industrial crops is that they use petrochemical fertilizer instead of compost. How do you grow a plant? You put compost, you grow the plant with sun, done. While these guys saying, well, we're going to use science and we're going to use oil to manufacture fertilizer. So that is to bypass this compost problem. We're just going to force feed the plant and try to get the maximum yield. Well, I'll take the Pepsi challenge any day. Take a petrochemically fertilized tomato or a organically compost grown tomato. I don't care whether they've been sprayed with pesticides or not, and do a taste test. I think that the vast majority of people would prefer, in a double blind test, would prefer the taste of a naturally grown fruit or tomato or blueberry or anything. When you fertilize a food with Peters fertilizer, which is a water soluble 20-20-20 NPK fertilizer, it's going to taste nothing like the real deal. So maybe they can, bioengineer it to taste better, but is there going to be other consequences to that? Probably. Wouldn't be surprised. So industrial crops, they get force fed. Organic crops get clean compost. I mean, that's just reason, evolution, hundreds of millions of years are backing up this. I think the petrochemically fertilized approach is guilty until proven innocent. And I think it can be done on a large scale. It's true, yeah. The organic, there is such a thing as industrial organic, and there's small time organic. I don't know which one's more trustworthy. You can grow your own. I mean, there's so many options out there. But I am definitely not a big fan of bioengineering and petrochemical fertilizer. I know, I know. Peter, can you imagine using Peters on your vegetables and stuff? Like some people really do. That's what Miracle-Gro basically is. So now there's probably some unknown benefits to growing in compost. There's an old one called Factor X that was discovered by Dr. Weston A. Price. He figured out that there was something going on with these aboriginals where their teeth and bones were strong and healthy, and they was trying to figure out what it was. He was looking at their diet, and he just called it Factor X. He couldn't figure out what it was. He kind of narrowed it down to something in the diet, and now today we know that it's vitamin K2. It's a fat. It's not really a vitamin, but it's a fat-based compound. If you want to learn more about it, check out like Dr. Rhonda Patrick. She's a biochemist. Also, Dr. Barry Sears is a biochemist. So they studied the effect of these things on the human body. So vitamin K2 is something that turns out only exists in grass-fed crops, grass-fed animals and dairy. So in other words, if you go the industrial route, there's no way you're going to get vitamin K2 into your product. So because of that, because everything is industrial nowadays, very few people are eating grass-fed dairy products. It's very, it's kind of rare and expensive. So we're all missing vitamin K2. Now, Dr. Price knew that without even doing any study. He didn't have any data to back this up. You don't need data, right? You can just say, wow, look at those people are eating natural, healthy food that's been around for hundreds of millions of years and they're healthier. Why? I don't know. There's probably 100 different reasons why. We can figure those out later. But when in doubt, the industrial approach is guilty until proven innocent. That's kind of my logic here. So I'm sure that there's going to be more things like vitamin K2 that we're going to find out about that happen when you grow your crops in compost and when you feed your animals natural foods like grass and bugs and things that they eat normally, instead of eating GMO cornmeal or that sort of thing like we feed our industrial livestock. So that's industrial crops. Industrial livestock, they get antibiotic laced GMO grain, the cheapest, nastiest food on earth. That's what we feed to our livestock. What's that going to have? Is that going to have an effect on the quality of their product? Probably. Yeah, I would suspect so. Again, guilty until proven innocent. Because they're being fed these carbs, these cheap grains, we have to put antibiotics in their feed to keep them from dying. So there is that. Same thing with chickens. You put them all in a big, giant industrial house, and they're all crowded in there. They get sick. So we have to give them antibiotic feed to keep them alive. Is that going to have a consequence to the quality of the food? Probably. Yep, that one's guilty till proven innocent as well. So that's how it can affect your livestock. Organic livestock are going to get grain that's going to be non-GMO grain when they need it supplemented. And when it's not needed to be supplemented, they're going to be pastured so they can eat grass, they eat bugs, things like that. Like if you have chickens and turkeys, they'll eat bugs. We feed our livestock the same corn we make ethanol fuel from. Yep, And I wonder, probably corn isn't such an evil thing. We've somehow, because of what we've done through an industry, we've turned it into a problem. High fructose corn syrup, GMO corn. What about chemicals to make them gain weight? Sure, why not, right? We'll throw some hormones in there. They certainly do. I didn't even mention hormones, but antibiotics, hormones, could become a problem. Overcrowdedness are a problem. I'm concerned about eating food eating livestock that's been fed hormones. Absolutely, growth hormone. When you eat sugar, you get an insulin spike. Insulin is IGF, insulin growth-like factor. So insulin makes you grow. If you ever notice someone that is struggling, they can often grow larger. It can not just be fat. We're talking bones and muscles. They just get larger, just bigger. So if you're feeding your livestock um, hormones of that sort, and then we eat it, isn't that going to make us get bigger too? We're all trying to lose weight. And if we're eating, I don't know, is that somehow translating through the food chain? It very well may be. I don't know. There's probably science that can explore that. But it's guilty until proven innocent in my book. I would rather not eat livestock that's been treated with hormones. Even if it means I had to pay more money, I'll pay more money. I'm happy to pay it. I think that food is probably the number one thing that that money is for. It only costs me about $500 a month to eat organic. I eat 100% organic, except for when the rare occasion that I have a beer. And I do look for organic beer whenever I can get it, and that's certainly organic wine if I'm going to drink wine, which I don't anymore. I really don't drink much wine. Okay, so that's rule number 4, organic versus industrial. It's not as important as these other things. It's not as important as getting a lot of vegetables or cutting out your simple sugars or making sure not to eat those fried vegetable oils that are causing heart damage. So organic, I put it lower on the scale. No, she's busy doing her own tail magical things in the background right now. I'm just kind of taking over for her. This is something I've been planning to do. I wanted to come to you guys with a nutrition specific scope. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a professional. This is just my take on it from a perspective of reason and a little bit of experience. Like I said, I started studying with Arnold Schwarzenegger's Modern Encyclopedia of Bodybuilding and just went on from there. I studied Dr. Barry Sears, Dr. Rhonda Patrick. Um, I'm super curious about nutrition. So number 5, pastured and free-range chickens, turkeys, and hogs. They're going to give you much higher quality eggs and meat. We eat animals full of growth hormones. Obesity is a major health issue. Yeah, you're right about that. Although I more blame the carbs for the obesity than anything. Not sitting at like a yoga guy. That's true. I don't do yoga actually. Um, fully straight, but I totally get why Taylor menu. Well, thanks. So I should do yoga, by the way. I just don't do yoga. So I get my exercise from snow shoveling and riding dirt bikes and carrying wood. And I'm trying to train my body to be practically useful. That kind of like real world exercise kind of thing, chopping wood and stuff like that. Just carrying blocks and stuff. So you want to pasture your chickens and turkeys and hogs. If you're feeding them cheap GMO grain, would it affect the quality of the eggs? Yep, I think so. Um, again, I think a double-blind test would prove that. I mean, if you could actually have 100 people and you had them try these two different eggs, one's pastured natural organic egg, and the other one is like industrial egg, and what kind of a percentage of people are going to prefer the real deal? And is it really that much more expensive? I mean, when you work it out, the price you're paying per gram of protein and per gram of fat and the quality of nutrients in that yolk, I can't think of a better deal. I mean, it's great. The eggs are a huge part of a healthy diet, in my opinion, including the yellow part. I would eat the yellow part for sure. Is there anything wrong with being pescatarian? You have to define that for me. Tell me more about that. Um, so we're going to get into the next one is the miscellaneous category. We're going to talk about everything else. Everything that I didn't mention so far is here. That's vegetarianism. Is vegetarianism a magic bullet diet? That's something that some people would be concerned. As you can see here, I'm saying that it's not. It's very low on the list of importance here. I love animals like to the max. I actually feel like animals are more innocent than humans in a lot of ways. And yeah, you probably did. She's down there somewhere. So I totally get with the whole, vegetarian thing about like, can we do this? Can we eat without having to kill animals? Like, I mean, and do we even kill them in a nice way? I mean, how do they kill them? Do they scare the shit out of them? I don't know. The things I've seen on TV have been horrible. If I've done research, but I know that some cases, like animals have been tortured and stuff in these factory farms and any farms. So I want to argue that maybe vegetarians are right for the wrong reason. In other words, it's probably true that in this world, eating more vegetables and less meat is going to help your health. Is the reason because of vegetarianism, or is the reason because we are eating industrial meat that's probably toxic, particularly the fat cells? Animals store toxins in their fat cells. So is that they're almost like they're like hitting on this important feature here, but is it for a different reason? Like like you can see in your teeth, we have omnivore teeth, and evolutionarily speaking, we ate some meat. So I do think it would be healthier to eat some meat rather than no meat. I would make that argument. I would stand behind that argument from a reason perspective, from an evolutionary perspective, from a hundreds of millions of years of having a stomach, type of thing. We can definitely digest and extract nutrients from meat. So, but to the point of like not torturing animals, I'm totally down with that. I hate that. I hate the fact of that they have to die. But here's the concern though. As a vegetarian, if you're eating a lot of grains, those are harvested by gigantic combines that kill millions of baby mice, and their little babies mice sit in their hole and die starving to death because their mom got killed by a combine. There's no way that like vegetarianism stops all the cost to the ecosystem that we incur. But I will say a vegetarian is more efficient because you're going to get more calories from the feed of just eating the feed itself rather than feeding the feed to an animal. So what I'm trying to say is do meat minimally. I'm a vegetarian but eat fish. Pescatarian. Is that okay? Okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I think so. I think it's a great idea. As much as it pains me to even honestly to eat the fish, I feel bad. I do eat some fish. I just do it uh, kind of at a lower level. I don't go crazy with it, and I damn sure don't waste it. Nothing breaks my heart more than wasted meat. That's just, I feel so bad. We took this animal's life and wasted the meat. That's terrible. Its portion size, serving size of meat is the size of a deck of cards. Should we eat bacon before? Yeah, I mean, definitely maybe like I don't eat meat every day. Every once in a while we'll have a taco night, um, and I'll make sure to use organic meat or free range pasture so that I know the animal has had a decent life, that kind of thing. Um, yeah, I'm sure that there's other concerns about that, and that wasn't even my argument actually. It was someone on YouTube that had came up with that point, and I was really impressed by that because it is true. Salmon is good. Yeah, salmon's got the healthy fats, omega 3s, and you can probably I don't know if you can get like if there's like farmed salmon, if that's like less healthy than a natural salmon, that sort of thing. I'm not sure, but I would look into that. I think salmon's a great way to go. Any fish is a great way to go. It's high in fat, it's high in protein, it's low in carbs. Um, so hopefully they kill the fish in a as humane a way as possible. If it were me, I absolutely would. You go for the brain, you take out their brain instantaneously. I know that some farm industrial places they have these bolts, and the bolt just goes in and out, it hits the brain. Unlike the kosher where they supposedly slit the throat, that is not a good way to kill an animal. Do you worry about mercury? Yes, I do actually. That was part of the reason why I don't eat as much tuna fish. I would eat more tuna fish if it weren't for that, probably. I do buy, pole caught tuna. That's shallower tuna. It's younger tuna. It's supposed to be lower mercury. There's probably some mercury in it, but I actually have some mercury in my head from fillings that I got as a youngster on a state insurance program. My mom worked for the state, and they had the dental program, and they sent me in there, and they told me I had some cavities, and they filled them with mercury. And now I got a mercury stuck in my head. Now they're telling me I should get rid of it. So I do believe mercury is a problem. Mercury's in the ocean. Industrialization of meat and veg produce. But isn't that your perfect capitalism? No, it's not actually. I would argue that big government supports uh, big business more than the free market does. Yes, I love the Adirondacks. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. I know it's a state park, it's a government thing, but there's people that do have homes in the Adirondacks, and it's just so cold. All right, I think it's gonna be cold in the next couple of days up there, huh? The less fat you eat, the more efficiently you eat insulin. I would argue against that, especially from I tested my own blood sugar for years. When I eat fat, my blood sugar is more stable, so I don't need as much insulin. I'm insulin sensitive, so my blood sugar gets low. Um, Shoot, I lost my train of thought on that question. Government, capitalism. Okay, yeah. So I'm saying that the government actually creates big business. It supports it. Big business uses government as a tool to suppress small business. I think in my perfect capitalism world, like the Thomas Jefferson approach, there'd be more small businesses. People would actually give a you know what about their business and their product. In a large corporation, it's a lot harder to care because you got your boss. Anything you do, they're going to take credit for it. It's just, it may be a little hard to give a, what. And I think that that's important. We need to care. You need to be in a business where you care about the product, you care about the customers, you care about the longevity of the business. That's going to happen in a small business more than a big business. Big businesses are trying to emulate that. Oh, you're all good. And comments are welcome. I'm sorry I can't catch them all. Cells can become desensitized insulin. I'm in nursing school. Yep, I tend to agree. If you abuse insulin, in other words, eating a lot of simple carbs, and your body needs to go crazy with the insulin all the time, you can become desensitized to it for sure. Um, and if you stop doing that, you might reverse that process, which is some hope. That's what I said here. This is a message of hope. Like, there's so many health problems out there. I know there's so many people out there suffering. I've suffered myself. This is a simple solution to that. Unlike some of the, this whole world is so complex and there's so many things they're telling people to do. Big business killed small farms. Yeah, I agree. We need to fight back the way Joel Salatin does. He's a relatively big organic farm. We're going to talk about beverages at the bottom. We're going to talk about healthy water and stuff too, real quick. I just kind of wanted to, put a section in there about that. It's a big deal. So I don't blame capitalism for this. I blame us as people deferring responsibility to the government. We give the power to the government. Joel Salatin calls the USDA the US duh. The food pyramid says we should eat pasta and grains as a base of our food pyramid. That is absolutely a terrible idea, and that's the reason why we're dying by the millions. Well, part of the reason. Big government, big business, and better gear. That's correct. So big business is almost like a serial killer. If you give it the power of government, it will use it, and it will use it better than we can. We had to take away their toy. There are vegans who eat a ton of carbs, and they're neither fat nor have high. Yeah, they're probably young. Beware. Now, some people don't get fat. Actually, the majority of people that have metabolic disease are not obese. That is an interesting fact. If it's a fact at all, I would double check that. But I mean, the research says that that's true. Uh, I'm not. I don't get fat from eating a lot of carbs. I get sick as hell. I get ill. My ear blew up. I lost my balance. It was a disaster. I didn't get fat at all. I actually got skinny. You think a lot of this is driven by urbanization? I'm not sure. That's a good question. Is that a question to Dan or was that from Dan? USA life expectancy has declined. Yeah, I'm not surprised by that. I bet you it will continue to decline. Now is a food plate, not a pyramid. That's good. That's good news. Yeah, they've changed it, haven't they? We were taught the food pyramid, and man, was that turned out to be a bad idea. We need some regulations, at least with labeling, or we wouldn't know what's in our food. That's a good question. I don't know what the best approach to that is. That's a really good thing to explore. I'm not sure how, every time we try to depend on regulation, a it's almost like a you just can't win. What I mean? You can't win by using force. We have to let freedom reign. Uh, if we try to force a company to do X, Y, Z, there will always be a nasty consequence for it. And over time, we keep doing that, and that's why we ended up in this mess. We got to take responsibility for ourselves. That means buyer beware. You got to be care about what you buy, care about the company you give your money to. I lost a ton of fat on a vegan diet, but I can only do it in the summer. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, there's other arguments out there that say toxicity is what leads to obesity and that sort of thing. Um, Thank you. Yeah, I quit smoking after smoking for 10, I think it was 10 years. Yeah, 10 solid years I smoked and my lung collapsed. So I got in the hospital with a tube in my chest for 5 days, and I walked out the door of that hospital. They reflated my lung, and I had my attack. The cigarette one that came in. It was like, have a cigarette, you're out the door. And I avoided it. I ignored it for 2 weeks until it calmed down. I'm sorry, I missed that comment. And man, one of the best things in my life, like hitting the lottery. Quitting smoking was such a big deal for me, and it took a real kick across the head to achieve it. Your lungs to rebuild themselves. Yeah, I mean, my lung had deflated spontaneously and suddenly and quite a lot. And when they pumped it back up, they tried to take the pressure up after 3 days and it went back down again. They pumped it back up 2 more days and it was good to go. And it's been good to go ever since. A chain smoker, well, what happened to me was that I was a tall, young, thin male smoker. That causes a spontaneous pneumothorax. It's kind of rare, but it can happen if you have those 5 things. I had all 5. read some ASMR for us. So quitting smoking, quitting sugar were two of the most important things I ever done in my life. Somebody said something, wasn't in regards to capitalism, do I think that there should be serial killer? Actually, yes. Most psychopaths are not violent. Um, I think 99% of psychopaths are not violent. The 1% that happen to be violent is probably the same percentage as any group of people that happens to be violent. So what I'm saying is that I can do business with a psychopath. Um, I can't do business with the government if they're going to force me to A, hire a certain group of people or not be able to fire people or I have to pay 80% in tax or whatever it is. I can't deal with that. I can deal with a psychopath because I'm either, they don't, it's voluntary. They don't have to do business with me. I don't have to do business with them. I don't care what they like, who they love, what they do, as long as it's not violence. I can handle anything as long as it's not violence. They can yell at me. They can flip me off. I don't care. They can tell me racist things. I don't care. Smoke 2 packs a day for 30 years, drink at least 3 cans of Monster a day. Well, you got some good genetics, my friend. And there are people who absolutely fall into that category. Some people are more sensitive than others. They'll die. You know, some people will die. I probably would have died if it wasn't for my emergency surgery to fix my lung. So, and of course, I had a combination of cigarette smoking and eating the worst diet on planet Earth. I absolutely did. 6'1", 155 pounds, chain smoker, pneumothorax too. Yeah, that's probably not far from the truth. Although I think I was even worse. I was 6'2", 130 or something crazy like that. Medical marijuana, I say thumbs up. If it's organic, you know, there's concerns obviously that you could spray marijuana with all kinds of chemicals, pesticides, herbicides, using petrochemical fertilizer on your crops. It's the same problem. I wouldn't smoke it if it wasn't naturally done. Sticking to my plants and never grow old. Yeah, you can actually slow your aging process by protecting your DNA. You protect your DNA by eating the healthy diet as opposed to the Twinkies and cola and stuff like that. That will definitely rapidly damage the telomeres on your DNA. And once they are damaged, they unravel, and then people get very suddenly old. Why is it illegal? Because of big government. Big government makes the drug war. They're trying to use force to create their vision of a perfect world, but it's backfiring really bad. I'm anti-capitalist, but you make a compelling point for capitalism and serial killer now. Yeah, I mean, you just can't count on other people to be good. And there's plenty of people who are good, but I don't want to design a system that depends on it. I don't want to design a system where we use force to force people into our vision of what we think is good. Companies should be allowed to succeed or fail. If they fail, they don't get bailed out. If they succeed, they're going to be bringing a product to market for all of us. We win, they win, everybody wins. 90% of my food comes from a family farm. That is awesome. That is really awesome. Of course, you can still run into the problem of having massive carbs, but you'll probably handle it better if it's at least it's coming from like naturally grown, that sort of thing, where people actually cared about the quality of the product. Uh, you can make a food that passes all the tests of the FDA and the USDA and everything's perfectly fine. It fits their rules. But the thing is, Monsanto has the rotating door. They help make the rules. So I'm not against money, you know, I'm not against capitalism, but I'm definitely saying that big government is supporting fascist businesses like Monsanto that make their rules to benefit themselves. That's not a free market approach. Should we support a system that bails people out when they don't care for themselves? I think that there's always going to be a group of people who don't care for themselves, and we're going to be in a way better position to help them if we are allowed to keep what we earn. So we'll be able to actually contribute philanthropic uh, money to people that need help. But we're being reduced by over taxation, over regulation. Our ability to help has been reduced. We are handing that problem off to the government, and they're not going to be able to do as good of a job as we can do. I'm sorry, I missed that comment. I might be able to, let's do some magic here. Let's check. I click a thing and go backwards. I can tons of veggies from our garden, and we grow organic meat. That is awesome. I say good for you. Bravo. Monsanto is evil. Well, here's what we can trace that backwards. Let's say Monsanto is a result of big government. Big government result of us. We fund it, so it's us that has the power to stop that. Competition is a sin. Does not reflect true. Yeah, I agree. Competition is not a sin. Competition is the nature of free market capitalism. If Rockefeller believed that, he was not a free market. He was not a free man. He was a fascist business leader. Big business lies, cheats, and steals. Yes. So that's why we need to take away their ability to do so in such a powerful way. They use government to lie, cheat, and steal way more powerfully than they ever could in a free market. It's a lot harder to get rich in a free market. You have to actually bring a good product at a good price. Preserved veggies are low sodium. Nice. That's awesome. We're going to talk about sodium a little bit too. Food processors in China. So they have less caveat. They have less concerns about the quality of their product than we probably even do. So they probably wouldn't eat it themselves. They'll ship it over to us and we'll allow it. I don't trust it. You know, I'd rather eat food that was local as much as possible. I don't trust food from China as much as I would from local food, even if it's organic certified. I'm a little concerned about it. Bailout's not capitalism. I agree, and I don't believe that we do have capitalism. We have fascism. In a real capitalism free market system, there would have been no bailouts. That is a disaster for freedom. You can't do that. You can't bail out a business that needed to fail. Opinions on wealth of nations. Yes, Adam Smith. Generally speaking, Adam Smith nailed it. Why does the FDA allow this? Regards to also, you know, FDA is handcuffed in a lot of ways. There may be some good people in there, but as a group, they generally cannot help us. That's my I argue that I accuse that they cannot help us. We have to help ourselves on these issues. So let's get moving here. Let's see. So I have a list of miscellaneous things. We talked about vegetarianism. Like I said, I love animals. It kills me. If it wastes meat, I just can't stand that. Why do they allow China? That's a good question. You know, the USDA certifies organic products from China. They probably do some minor testing. You can get like organic chlorella and stuff like that from. You can get organic spirulina from India. I don't know. I would personally rather see it tested by somebody that we can trust. Mike Adams from Natural News. He's controversial, but he's got a mass spectrometer. He tests foods all the time. Check out his website, naturalnews.com. He sells products that he has tested. You and Taylor are a low-key power couple. Thank you. Yeah, that's something that we definitely would aim for. That's a good description. I would love to keep myself low-key. I don't, want to have a PhD or a medical license that I have to worry about losing. Health Ranger, yeah. I mean, I know he has some controversial standpoints and stuff, but I think for the most part, he's got freedom and reason in the main, you know, he's mainly focused on that, and I love that. I wish we had more like that, right? How awesome is that? And he's actually willing to like get the equipment and do the testing and report the results. I love it. How do you think our economy would be if the banks and auto industries were not bailed out? It would be much, much better by now. I'm so jealous you have each other. You're both smart and young. Yeah, we're very lucky. We are super blessed. I appreciate that. And especially because we still have our fat baby cat who got hit by a car and survived. Need to come back and do pet food. Yep, pet food is a major problem. There's a cat. Yeah, I think that's a cat. It kind of looks like a raccoon or something. I don't know. But we're going to talk about, I will mention pet food real quick, but pet food has the same exact problem here. Way too many carbs in most cases, and it's dirty, industrial, GMO, dirty food. My cat's breath. My cat has an infection actually in his mouth that we've been trying to deal with. He has like a skin thing or something, and like he's had like these lesions that have been going around his body for like 6 years, ever since I've known him. And we treat it with silver when he gets a lesion, and it goes away. So we assume a bacterial infection. So Chevy might have started making better autos if they had survived, make homemade dog treats. That's awesome. Yeah, in a free market system, if Chevy needed to die, then so be it. If they could reinvent themselves and create an awesome product at a great price, they got my blessing. I love it. And so Jack has this. He's always had these growths, and now he's finally got one in his mouth. It like moved around, and now it won't heal. So we took him to the vet. They gave him an injection. You know, we avoided the vaccines by careful studying of the laws. We were able to avoid vaccinating him right now. We don't want him vaccinated right now. And they gave an injection of antibiotics and an injection of steroids. And then he gets hit by a car 2 days later. Hey, what's going on? So hey, this thing in his tongue is getting better. He's been through so much lately. So, anyways, his breath smells great right now because he was on antibiotics and his infection is getting better. But hopefully that lasts. All right. Acidic versus basic, the alkaline diet. Eat lots of green veggies and drink spring water. We'll talk about water later. That's a big deal. Cleansing, fasting, detoxing, saunas, enemas. Cool. It all sounds good. Again, I think it's secondary to all this important stuff here. So I wouldn't think that these things are going to save the day like the way that these things will. Vitamin supplements. Some people get crazy with the vitamin supplements. The only two I really recommend is vitamin K2 and vitamin D3. K2 is to give you the the compounds you would get from grass-fed dairy, and D3 is when you don't get enough sunlight. I had an artery grow around from the backside of my heart, which compensated for a total blockage. That is awesome. That is impressive. Man behind the woman? Yeah, it's sort of the other way around. Yeah, you could look at it either way. we do support each other as best we can, you know. Um, she's such a like self-development kind of person. K2 and D3. It's like, yeah, it's kind of a cool supplement. They come together. They're both fat soluble. You can sprinkle it. I sprinkle it right into my soup sometimes. Cardiologist claimed it was my diet, my vegan diet. Interesting. Maybe. Like I said, maybe vegans and vegetarians are, in my opinion, in my philosophy, they could be right for the wrong reasons. In other words, they're avoiding some of this toxic stuff. Like industrial meat is probably one of the most toxic things, right? Because it stores the toxins in its fat cells. I agree, the body does have amazing abilities to heal, and I like to. That's like this was all support for that. You know, support those systems. Can you bring your cat? I'd like to see him. Yeah, we can actually. We will bring him in. I'm going to get him some food. As an anarchist of the European tradition, I disagree with the whole Randian school of thought. Yeah, I hear you. I hear you. I think the argument between no government and a little government is a darn good argument. We need to be having that argument, but it's not happening in Congress. That is not the discussion, unfortunately. We're paying 80% tax. Ben Franklin was complaining about 10% tax. You know, I mean, we're so far on the spectrum. Most vegans, vegetarians, oops, let's see, I catch that. Most vegans, vegetarians I know eat nothing but carbs. I agree. Yeah, that's so true. And I'm concerned about that. I'm concerned about them for that reason uh, over the longer term. I know some fruitarians, they just go crazy with like bananas and fruits and that. And again, they're young. So I hope that they're going to be all right over the longer term doing that. Yeah, he's a great cat. He's so much fun. I shoveled a ton of snow today. It was awesome exercise. Now you see what happens to her. No, it's okay. I wanted to engage you guys. You know, I'm totally cool with that. I know you guys can you guys are used to dealing with this. So low sodium I have pink salt versus sea salt versus mined salt versus industrial salt. There's 4 different kinds of salt. Oh, the alkaline acid thing. Yeah, we'll go in. I'll try to talk about that a little more. The island where everyone lives to 130. That was like I think that was like is it Iwo Jima or it's one of those Japanese islands maybe. And they have little America there now, and the kids are getting obese. So I guess that their longevity has now been tainted by our satanic food that we sent over. Okay, so low sodium. Oh yeah, the acid and alkaline thing. I think that's making a way bigger deal than what it is. Your body has the ability to regulate the acid and alkaline acid and basic levels in your blood through your breathing. Uh, if you think about it, like your stomach is like super acidic. As you get older, that gets reduced. You want super acidic in your stomach, but you need a mucous membrane layer to protect the tissue. When that membrane gets damaged, you can get ulcers and things like that. But the acid in your stomach is a beneficial thing. Taking antacids, for example, is probably it's it's a really questionable approach to solving the digestive problems. What I think causes indigestion is carbohydrates, simple carbs. That's a major problem. It damages the flora and fauna, the probiotics that are inside your body. Once that gets thrown off and you have damage to the mucous membranes, you can have certain bacteria take over. Obesity crisis has spread to Asia. Yeah, absolutely true. Life expectancy rates coming down. Yep, I agree. And I'm not surprised. And so is the sperm count. You know, they're saying that our population, which is going like this right now, is going to level off because our sperm count's falling. Teaspoon of vinegar a day knocks down your acid. A teaspoon of vinegar a day is probably not a bad idea, especially if you just ate sugar. It can actually cause a gel effect and slow down the absorption of sugars into your bloodstream. Big fan of apple cider vinegar. So, all right. Low sodium. Okay, yeah. So we talked about the acid alkaline thing. You got it. Low sodium, pink salt, sea salt. I go pink salt. You know, it's $2, $3 a pound on eBay. It's ancient, so it's clean. There's no mercury. The sea salt is not ancient. Mined salt is probably fine, but it's kind of white. Thank you, I appreciate that. I have a weird memory. Mine is so hit or miss sometimes. Because of going through so much information, like I lose certain things. Industrial salt. That's probably a bad idea, right? I would avoid that. Pink salt maybe can be added to your water to help uh, alkalize your blood's one way to put it. When you drink water, it gets in your bloodstream quick. So if you drink water that's hungry, it can actually potentially dissolve a little bit of bone and teeth, that sort of thing. There's a concern. Put a little pink salt in your reverse osmosis water, your distilled water, whatever. That can help reduce that. I'm not afraid of salt. Like the doctors told me that salt was something I need to avoid because of my ear blowing up and Meniere's. That's a common thing for Meniere's patients is they avoid salt. I don't avoid salt, but I definitely don't go crazy on the salt. I go easy on the salt, and I always do the pink salt. When they did the studies that found that salt caused heart disease, guess what salt they used? Industrial salt. Lemon juice knocks down the acid. Nice. Okinawan. Yeah, that's the one. Okinawa, not Iwo Jima. They have Little America in Okinawa. Isn't that crazy? Let's see. So calorie counting. Um, I'm going to say that calorie counting, generally speaking, in my opinion, for weight loss is almost hopeless. If you haven't addressed the carb issue, then calorie counting is probably, if anything, it can actually hurt you because your body needs food. It needs energy, especially a sick body. It needs that food. If you're starving it for food, but then only eating low quality food, that could be a combination where you end up in muscle wasting. So yeah, you're going to lose weight, you're going to lose water weight and fat, but you also lose muscle and bone and maybe damage parts of your organs and things. We have a problem with Serratia pink bacteria out here in Arizona. Military experiment years ago. No kidding? Wow. Why you like apples? Say why you like apple cider vinegar. Okinawan traditional diet was super high in carb, by the way. Interesting. I would have to do some studying on that. I will check into that. Okay, so shoot, I forgot the last question. Um, let's see here. Let's see if another one pops up. I'll try to bring it back. Okay, so gluten-free. Calorie counting, I kind of give it a thumbs down. Gluten-free, I give that a thumbs down too. The true gluten allergy is very rare. The main problem with gluten allergy, in my opinion, is leaky gut. Leaky gut means inflamed intestines. Inflamed intestines caused by high carbs, simple carbs. Once your intestines are inflamed, partially digested proteins can get through into your bloodstream and cause allergies. Autoimmune dysfunction. Autoimmune dysfunction is like the number 4 chronic illness that we have to deal with. I think a lot of it traces back to the leaky gut. So I'm calling BS on gluten free. Most gluten free things are high in carbs, rice, cakes, and stuff like that. I'm like, just because they didn't use wheat flour, they use other kinds of flour. Doctors that came out with gluten turn around later and say they're wrong. That may be the case. Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised, and I would give them huge, huge props for doing that if that's the case. But yeah, I would say, especially if you're paying more for gluten free, um, I would say if you want to address food allergies, address the carbohydrate problem and take some probiotics. Try to get your body healed, your digestive system healed, and you'll probably find a lot of the allergies go away. I don't take any allergy medicines and that sort of thing. I don't ever get, um, seasonal allergies or anything like that anymore. My ear thing was probably some sort of autoimmune disease that's gone now. Yes, lucky to be Miller Taylor. Being a genius, I don't know about genius, but I like to simplify things, and they do say, simplifying things is almost a better approach sometimes, in this complex world than we have, as opposed to complicated things. Bioengineering is pretty complicated, but I'm just giving it a big thumbs down, just from the standpoint of like history and hundreds of millions of years of evolution. I'm like, it's guilty until proven innocent. If it can prove that bioengineering is better than hundreds of millions of years of evolution, I'd be surprised. Body craves a lot less food when it eats healthy. I tend to agree with that, yeah. Although I know a lot of people say the same thing in regards to vegetarianism. Um, I personally just need a ton of food, man. I eat so freaking much. Apple cider, that was the question. So, apple cider vinegar, the main reason I like it is because it's fermented, and we can get organic, fermented, natural. So basically, it's a carbohydrate, so you have to use it sparingly. I don't go crazy, putting tons of it. I like to use it on salad. It adds flavor. It does have amines in it, which is essentially natural version of MSG. Eating Ruffles potato chips, that probably has MSG. But yeah, okay, Ruffles potato chips, the problem with it, it's simple carbs. They've been cooked. So it's, potatoes, it's high glycemic, and they cook it in usually cheap oils. I'd be curious which oils they use. You cook a cheap oil, it causes damaged fats, rancid fats. And they also add MSG and all kinds of cheap salt. Japanese studies showed the benefits are significant for acid reduction. Maybe, I don't know. Because how do we know they did that study on somebody who's not like jacked up on sugar? You know what I mean? That's a lot of these studies that they do are people that are eating the everyday diet, not eating a real organic diet. If you eat a real organic natural diet, then how does that change the picture on all this low sodium, calorie counting, gluten-free, allergies, all that stuff can go away, including heart disease. Ruffles at least has a non-GMO, no fructose chip now. Nice, good stuff. And I was getting taco shells the other day for the family. I don't eat non-organic corn. I certainly wouldn't do it. But I looked through all the different. Yes, it lowers your triglycerides. I wouldn't be surprised. Lowers your blood sugar, slows down the absorption of blood sugar. So many things about apple cider vinegar. Just like lemon juice, you can put it in your hair, put it on your skin. What's your typical diet? I'll go into that for sure. I'll definitely explore that a little bit. And the taco shells I looked through, there was three different brands. One of them had like actual corn instead of corn flour and various things. They used high oleic oil, which is less susceptible to damage from heat. Those two things alone, I picked those shells. It was the blue box. Is that Ortega or El Paso? They were the healthiest shells out of the choice, you know. And one thing for your diet. My diet is based on convenience, but also based on this. I am a I'm trying to do this for life. Yeah, ketosis. Yeah, that's basically like really low carbs. It causes the body to go into it, be able to digest other forms of energy from proteins and fats. Lemon juice together with apple cider vinegar cleaning fluid. Nice. Yeah, you can use it for cleaning. It's like it can deodorize. There's so many cool things. A water diet, I'd probably put that in this list. You know, it's a cleansing thing. Um, that honestly, I don't do any fasting or cleansing ever. I'm always eating tons of food. I if I had to go cleansing, I would be, you know, I would be bored. I would be tired out. Cassian's bored. He is. It's winter time. Totally boring. But some people really feel good on the cleansing and fasting stuff. I never ever do any of it. Wish I had your brain temperament with life like Taylor. I know. I'm a blessed person. I agree. We're big on freedom, and we have a lot of freedom. Use it just for cleaning. No, I use it not just for cleaning. I drink it. Yeah, I agree. I do too. I drink apple cider vinegar all the time. I buy the product called Kavita, which is a water kefir, and it's the tonic version is made out of apple cider vinegar. The damn thing they're saying now is high oleic oils like the rapeseed are no bueno. I wouldn't be surprised, man. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather go with high oleic than non. You know, in other words, I'd rather have high oleic vegetable oils than regular standard GMO vegetable oils. But I don't eat any high oleic oils anyways. I eat coconut oil and grass-fed dairy products. So they kind of trace back like that hundreds of millions of years. Maybe not dairy products, but dairy products is one of my, I guess you could say, weaknesses. But I eat a lot of raw grass-fed dairy. I go crazy on it. I don't drink milk though, ironically. Okay, so I'm calling BS on gluten-free and calorie counting. Vegan and vegetarian, we talked about that a little bit. Millions of animals are affected by farming, no doubt. The human teeth is, in the case that we're omnivores, I feel bad for animals. I don't want to kill them, so I minimize that. I don't think it's a magic bullet. I could be wrong. I'm open to that. You have the apple cider vinegar with the mother. Yes, I agree. Why mess with that? You know, keep the mother in it. Same thing for beer, by the way. Beer shouldn't be filtered, in my opinion, if you're going to drink beer at all. Spices versus MSG. That's a big deal, I think. I don't know what to believe anymore. I study quite a bit. I know if you study, the more you study, the more like questionable it becomes, right? You just don't really know what's going on. So I'm with you there, but I'm focused on this. I think we're on a good path here with this simple carb issue. And again, I minimize my meat intake, but I do eat some. I eat some tuna and I eat some ground turkey, stuff like that from time to time. I had a beef stew the other day. Maybe like once a week or once every 2 weeks, I'll have a nice dinner like that of some kind. The mother is important. I completely agree. I have IBS and suffer daily to anything to do with food. Yes, so many people are in that boat. That's autoimmune disease, disease number 4. I would argue that it's simple carbs is your best bet. Aim at that. Uh-oh, did I freeze? Aim at simple carbs. If you can heal your body's digestive system, you will feel so much better. You'll be able to digest food much better. But in order to do that, I would say, and I know how it gets because once you get all messed up, it's like you can only eat carbs, right? Cat wants you, yeah, he's getting jealous. He is. Eventually, can you tell us why you typically eat a day? Yes, I will get to that. We're going to talk, I'll do that before I do the beverages section. Calorie counting. I would say that's hopeless. Gluten-free, hopeless. Vegan, vegetarianism, maybe. Spices versus MSG. Actual spices, which would be something like turmeric, black pepper, uh, garlic powder, onion powder. Those are real flavorings. They have amines, just like vinegar. That's flavoring. MSG is the cheap version of that. That's what they put in most products to avoid having to use these quote unquote expensive real spices. So go crazy on the spices. They're anti-inflammatory. They have compounds in it. They probably have health benefits that we don't even know about yet. Go crazy on spices and cut loose the MSG. It won't cost you more if you buy it in bulk. I organic on spices for sure. Cumin, my God, I love cumin. It's like number one most awesome spice, right? Turmeric, cumin, black pepper, they go great together. So go big on spices. Paleo. Problem with paleo, the fruits are too large. They're hybridized, right? So I agree with paleo in most ways, except for the whole fruit thing. They're too dang big, too much sugar, I think. Chili pentine peppers, nice. That sounds darn good. Have you noticed the book by the name How Not to Die? I haven't, but I'd like to. It sounds awesome though. I'll definitely. How can I get that? Here, let me write a little text document. Let's try that. Oh, it's Windows 10. I can't even find Notepad. Fennel seed is great. Yep, I believe that. I think anything that's just natural, organic, um, especially small stuff like blueberries and seeds. I mean, you just can't go wrong with that stuff. All right, so I'm going to talk about my own diet a little bit. What I do, I eat a lot of peanut butter. Peanut butter that has no sugar added. It doesn't taste very good until your taste buds are, adjusted to having no sugar. Turn to the Lord. We can talk about religion at the end if you want. Garlic has a ton of benefit. One of the major anti-cancer. I tend to agree. Yeah. Your objection to paleo diet is too much sugar. Yes. I'm just saying that they say bananas, they say apples. I say no. Bananas and apples are too much sugar. Cut them in half. Eat some peanut butter with them, or some kind of nuts or something. It claims we don't have to die. The 15 most common Western deaths. Bad for the arteries. Yeah, I think we don't have to die as young as we do. That's for sure. We can last longer than My family dies in their 60s, so I know we can do better than that. So okay, so I eat peanut butter. Now peanut butter is not a great thing. I do it because it's convenient. I do it because it's organic. It's cheap. It's $5 a pound. It tastes good. It gives me tons of energy. I just feel great on peanut butter. Bad for the arteries? Oh, well, it does. Here's the problem with peanut butter. It has a high enough level of polyunsaturated fat, and it's been roasted. So you're going to eat some. Yeah, I hear you on the Windows 10. It needs to be customized for me to be able to use it. Yeah, that's just so peanut butter is too big on polyunsaturated fats that have been damaged. It's a minor infraction compared to eating the simple carbs. So it's convenient for me. I go that route. Same goes for almond butter. It tastes awesome. I love it, but it is a little more expensive, and I only like it when it's roasted. So either way, I'm going to get some damaged polyunsaturated fats. But I eat it kind of sparingly, but it gives me massive calories, massive energy. Suggestions for my first smoothie: almond milk and blueberries. I would say that almond milk is basically really just water, just to give you that heads up. Blueberries, definitely. The only milk that's actually got anything going on is, let's see, not coconut water. It's expensive. Almond milk is almost got nothing in it but water. Hemp seed milk, same thing, nothing but water. Soy milk. Soy milk is actually got some real nutrition to it, but I don't recommend it because I don't recommend soy protein, not even if it's organic. It has estrogen mimicking compounds, and generally speaking, we have too much of that already, so I can't even enjoy soy milk. So I would just put water, to be honest with you, or actual milk, raw grass-fed milk. I'm saving money for a head transplant. That's a good idea. That might be fun. So yeah, I go peanut butter. That's one thing I like. I like Amy's soups. I eat lentil and vegetable Amy's soups one a day. Um, Taylor is the homie, but it's such a dope scope. Cool, thanks, man. So I love Amy's soups, lentil and vegetable. I eat lentils. Because vegetables are a pain in the butt. I bring them home. I put them in the fridge. They go bad. Am I against tofu? Kind of. Yeah, I don't eat it because it's soy based. I just don't eat anything soy based. I'm a smaller dude. I want my strength. So I train for strength. That's why I'm not very big. I'm actually a lot stronger than I should be for my size because I train for strength, not for size. So I don't want to be. I've heard about the soy, estrogen thing, so I avoid it. Um, Even organic soy, but organic soy is probably cross-pollinated with GMO soy at this point. But it's not sprayed with Roundup, so it doesn't have it soaked down with herbicide. So that's kind of good. But a lot of those little candy bars, those little protein bars, they use soy protein. It's probably better than eating something like Twinkies and Reese's peanut butter cups, that sort of thing. Although Reese's peanut butter cups are probably better than say Skittles, because at least they had some peanut butter in there, even if it's dirty peanut butter. All right, so now when they say peanut butter damage, you got to reserve. I don't know if they're talking about organic peanut butter or people who are on an organic diet. Will soy grow boobs on a guy? That's a darn good question. Probably not. But even if it's like the tiniest bit pushing in the direction of non-testosterone, I'm not interested in that. What do you think of Morningstar Farms? I'm not familiar with it. I'll have to check that out. There's three things that I said I was going to check out, but I'm not going to be able to remember. Somebody mentioned a book, How Not to Die. I'll check that out. All right, so what else do I eat? I eat the soup. like I said, I like to make beef stews. I make tacos. I use purple corn chips that are organic, particularly if they use a high oleic oil. Soy is nasty? It might be. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not entirely sure about that. I don't eat it. I'd rather see people eating soy and soy protein than eating Twinkies. I'll say that for sure. Um, Most of the soy protein bars are jacked up with sugar anyways, most of the time. So, but it's only 20 grams of sugar, so I don't know. Some people might be okay with that, some not. Some people are in a transition. The documentary Forks Over Knives, I have, yeah. Although I can't recall the details of, I've seen all the documentaries and I get them all mixed up on which one's which. Meditation help focus on a good diet. I'm not sure. I don't meditate and I don't do yoga, so I can't really speak on those things. I think that meditation might be important for people that have a really hectic life. I don't have a hectic life. I have complete control of what I do and when I do it. I definitely meditate. I always have all my life in my own way, but not like any kind of official or structured way. But I definitely sit around and just contemplate stuff quietly, especially when I wake up in the morning, you know. But I don't have any official training on that. Taylor does. She's got some serious meditation training and techniques and stuff. Okay, so what else do I eat? Um, Raw grass-fed cheese. I'm big on that. Yogurt. I'll take raw grass-fed or grass-fed yogurt that's organic, and I'll mix it with just the tiniest bit of organic applesauce, um, and just enough that I don't get my 20 or 30 grams of carbs. I get a big old blast of fat and protein with a little bit of non-vegetable carbs. But it's very convenient. And I'm big on, I'm sorry, I'm missing your comments, guys. I'm big on convenience. I love the soup in a can, the peanut butter in a can, the Cavitas I can just twist the top. All my best ideas have in bed. Yep, I like to contemplate in the morning. What else do I eat? I have a very boring diet, by the way. I used to make a lot of oat bran. I would take oat bran and I'd put coconut oil in there, and I would put some spirulina to turn it green, and a little bit of stevia. That's true. I probably could do. I could probably crawl all over the place. Taylor's good at it too. She crawled up on the roof. So I would make a green oat bran. It's kind of like an oatmeal. It's kind of a sweet bready treat. You can put some vanilla protein powder in there. We got some veganic protein powder that's organic. You can get grass-fed organic whey protein from swansonvitamins.com. Check them out. They have really cheap grass-fed raw protein that's actually from milk. How did I cut out sugar? Well, I got kicked in the face by God Himself with a busted inner ear. Man, was that horrifying. Like to have vertigo just by turning your head a little bit, vertigo. Laying in bed, vertigo. Uh, a truck drove by, vertigo. I mean, it was terrifying. I thought I was going to die. I thought my life was over. It would attack you like that. And so I was talking to my friend. I was like, dude, I've been messed up for 5 days. I had to wear headphones and stuff because I can't see the sound of a chopper going overhead makes me dizzy. I'm freaking out, dude. I think I'm dead. I'm gonna die. And I was at the time I was like 31 years old, and he said, dude, why aren't you gonna try the zone diet thing? Just actually really do it and really try it. And I was like, yes, yes. If you think that's gonna help me, I'll try anything. Let's try it. And sure enough, man, did I feel so much better. At the time I was eating this. Does protein powder spoil easily? As long as it's kept low on the relative humidity, it should be fine to keep for a long, long time. Vertigo, and I lower my head and jerk forward or backward. Oh, you might have BPPV. Um, yes, vertigo is freaking scary. It is terrifying. It made a person like me uh, feel like I would rather not be on this earth. And I've never felt like I consider myself somebody that's pretty brave. When shit hits the fan, I get brave. But this time, no. Vertigo was not something I could be brave about. I was just barely keeping from going into anxiety. Got medication for it. Okay, so if you have vertigo when you move your head, it could be BPPV, which means that you have a stone in your circular canals that's in the wrong place. There's three different maneuvers you can do to fix it. You can try to fix it. The maneuver, you'll know which one to do depending on what causes the vertigo, which direction. Lower my head. Your attacks make me wish I was dead. Yep, that's exactly how I pretty much felt. It it doesn't get. There's worse things on earth, but it's pretty bad, especially if you go into throwing up and stuff like that. So, if you tilt your head back and to the left and you get dizzy, or to the back and to the right and you get dizzy, you probably need the Epley maneuver. Check that out, Google it. There's two other maneuvers that you can try. And what it does is it moves the stone out of the circular canal and drops into the utricle. I used to do that after my attacks, my veneers, my ear blew up. I had all things all mixed up in there, and then I had BPPV after that. So I had the BPPV for years because I wasn't brave enough to do the freaking Epley maneuver, and only recently in the last few months it got better. Medication for it doesn't work. So try that. Look into that. The maneuvers might help you. Even if it helps you a little bit, you just have to keep doing it over and over. Eventually, you might get relief from those symptoms. Today, I can now do this. For 2 freaking years, I couldn't do that. You know what I mean? Crazy. Caused by too many fish oil, huh? Interesting. Forks over knives, the Germans in World War II, Finland's farm animals. Yeah, I have to rewatch that. I'm definitely have to rewatch Forks over knives. Um, So, anyways, that kick in the head of terror was what got me to quit sugar. You know, my friend suggested to go. I knew about the zone diet. He's like, why don't you actually do the zone diet? Put away the life cereal and actually do it. So that's what I did. And I went through a terrifying time in my life where I quit sugar and flour and 15 milliliters a day. Yeah, it is true that you can take too much fish oil. Although I forgot to put fish oil on this list, but my friend supplements fish oil, and it is for him. It's really helpful. He has metabolic disease. He can't eat sugar. Do you ever pick out on Domino's, Dunkin' Donuts, or whatever? Never, never, never. Um, I sin in my own way, which is like I said, I eat peanut butter. It's probably not the best thing. I eat a little applesauce here and there. I eat some half an apple. So I sin in those little ways. You'll never catch me eating a candy bar for the rest of my life. It's completely done. No bread, not a single piece. No cookies, no cake, no brownies, zero. No ice cream. Um, the reason is because I can't just have a little. I go crazy. If you give me one brownie, I will eat all the brownies, and then I'll drive in my car to go get some more. I mean, I have a problem with sugar. So that's how I did it. I had to get punished and suffer, and then I was able to actually do the right thing. Some people are smarter than that, and they can actually learn from other people's damage that they don't have to go through the hell to quit the sugar. But I do recommend people to do that. And like I said, remember that sugar equals flour. So therefore, sugar equals bread and pasta and everything else too. Young people may not have their health crisis yet. Really good. You're doing this at your age. Thank you. You know, and my wife is so much younger than me, and she's been doing that too. You know, I don't see her eating a lot of junk food and stuff like that. She's trying to like eat healthier, and I'm really impressed by that. I wish I had done it when I was her age. You and I are much alike. That's cool. Yeah, we both had the vertigo. I can't believe that. I'm older. I'm just starting. Yeah, you know what people say? I'm too. Sometimes people say I'm too old to start that, and I would say the complete opposite. You're too old not to, right? Um, you got to get the most out of life. That's what I said. This is a message of hope. This is I'm saying that your life, if you have problems, can get better. Just like my buddy told me when I had my vertigo. He's like, try this, and I'm like, I'll reach out for any ray of hope you can offer, man. And he was right. It made a lot of difference. It sounds kind of religious, I know, but uh, it's supported by reason and evolution and stuff like that. I'm waiting for type 2 diabetes to touch in the diet. Yeah, if you have type 2 diabetes, you might be able to reduce that insulin resistance for sure. That's something that there is some research out there supporting that. Got my horse. Oh man, that's got to be awesome. I'd love to have some horses someday. I'd love to have a farm someday. The cost of healthcare when you're older, way more than eating right. Yes, I completely agree with that. Just like most things insurance related, it's always cheaper to do the responsible thing than it is to do the irresponsible thing. That kind of goes into politics and stuff as well. So, okay, so let's talk about beverages. I gave you guys some ideas of things I eat. It's pathetic. I'm sorry about that. I have a boring, boring diet. I eat spirulina. I eat coconut oil. I recommend extra virgin olive oil. Pastured eggs. I forgot to mention that. That's a big deal. Get some pastured eggs, organic, free range eggs. They're $6 a dozen. I think they're worth every penny. Eat the whole thing. I wouldn't take the yolks out. Some people, believe that the yolks are bad. I don't. I think you can eat, if you have your own eggs, you can eat them raw, especially if you're healthy and you have a good digestive system. You can eat them raw if you want to. Try not to overcook the yellow part of the egg. So if you can do sunny side up, I'd recommend that over scrambled, for example. Chicken, steak, pork, fish, ground beef, ground turkey, all those things, I'm in support of that. Just in moderation and keeping in mind that some animal has given its life, for that food. So please respect it. Spices, I go big on spices. I mentioned that. The soups, almonds, macadamias, walnuts, peanuts, all those kinds of nuts. I like to go big on those. I know there's lots of people who say it's too acidic. I don't worry about that. I go crazy. I need tons of calories. I eat as many nuts as I want. I'm 33 and I feel like I'm on the cusp of youth and irreversible. I feel like I'm on the very cusp of youth and irreversible illnesses. Yeah, I hear you. I think that's right about the age when you know what hits the fan. I completely agree. Your DNA starts to become noticeably different at that point, it seems like. A lot of people think they can do anything and then they turn 30. How do you keep the eggs from sticking to the pan? I use cast iron, and I put the oil I put on there. You can use coconut oil. Um, Coconut oil stands up to heat better. You can use oils like macadamia nut oil. It's a little expensive, but it does stand up to heat. It's almost pure monounsaturated fat. Just avoid high polyunsaturated fat oils on your pan. You can use butter. You know, I don't see any problem with using butter. I definitely put butter on my eggs. I can tell you that. Raw grass-fed dairy of all kinds, full fat, yogurt, milk, cheese, all good. Ice cream, no go. Vegetables of all kinds, go crazy on vegetables. Avocados, awesome. Avocado oil is awesome. I don't know if you can cook with it or not. Probably. I haven't done that research, but you want to get anything you're going to cook with. You want to go low polyunsaturated fat. Coconut oil is ill. Hemp and rapeseed too. Cast iron, not too much iron for us guys since we don't bleed monthly. I honestly never really worried too much about it. I cook on cast iron. I don't. I'm not a big fan of Teflon, PTFE. I do use it for boiling stuff, but not for frying. Boiling is never going to get at a very high temperature where frying will. You can. It takes high heat. Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, I would definitely do that. You know, look for stuff that can take high heat. Don't use cheap oils to fry with, cook your eggs. Um, so that's, definitely something to look into. Beverages. Clean water is hard to come by. I use reverse osmosis, and that's what I recommend. I don't believe that our tap water is clean, despite the EPA and the FDA and everyone else that says whether it's okay to drink. I don't believe that I can drink chlorine. I don't want to drink chloramines. I don't want to drink pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, any of the crap that's allowable in our tap water. I don't want anything to do with it. So I don't even want it on my property, to be honest with you. So I don't want it in my septic tank. I use a well and I have a septic, and I'm grateful for that. If they bring a water line through, I'm gonna have to pay taxes on it, and I'm not even gonna want to use it. My first official scope, I've done some scopes on my own channel, but my iPhone broke, and I have like 6 Androids, so I can't really scope from them. What I need to do is do what Taylor's doing and set up OBS setup, and I can scope on my channel. But I like scoping on her channel too. So clean water, reverse osmosis. If you do have public water, I recommend using reverse osmosis. If you have well water, I recommend using reverse osmosis. Yeah, I'm happy to. And the reason is because reverse osmosis, so it'll filter out everything that I mentioned before: pesticides, herbicides, heavy metals, pharmaceuticals, chlorine. All that comes out of those from that system. Um, it's cheap, it's 150 bucks to install one. Comes with a faucet and a tank and a 5-stage filter, 150 bucks. I use filterdirect.com. I don't get any kickbacks from them or anything else that I've mentioned today. I'm just what I do. 150 bucks, you can install it yourself. A Brita filter is a carbon filter using granular carbon. The 5-stage reverse osmosis does have 2 stages of carbon. It has a carbon block, actually 2 carbon block filters and a granulated carbon filter at the end. So that would be kind of like a Brita on steroids. But Brita on its own is not going to remove a lot of the things I mentioned. And there's little, concerns in terms of health in other ways coming from public water sources. If it comes from a river, for example, that means that river water was once sewer, septic water, and then people downstream will take it in and make it public water. Um, Reverse osmosis, get rid of the electrolyte. Yes. So what I do is I run it through a remineralizing filter, which is calcium magnesium. That's all we're looking for. When we use a reverse osmosis, we're stripping out the calcium magnesium carbonate. And I like to put that back in. Basically, calcium magnesium is dolomite lime. So if you have rainwater running through dolomite lime, it will become spring water, essentially, sweet water. It has a little bit of mineralization and a higher pH. So you can simulate that with a reverse osmosis remineralizing filter. They're, all over eBay. You can make your own. Unfortunately, it's not as accessible and common as I'd like to. I like to see more of those on the market. We have one cat. At the moment, we had 2 cats. Unfortunately, our sweet baby girl passed away in April. Our baby cat. A baby cat, not baby daughter. You have any pets? Don't eat yellow snow. That's rule number 1. Don't eat yellow snow. And so that's my recommendation. If you're going to use reverse osmosis, run it through a remineralization filter. If you don't do that, just put a little pink salt in there. Sprinkle a little pink salt. That'll keep it from being hungry water. Are you against the government putting fluoride? Yes, absolutely. I'm against vaccines. The CDC recommends 74 doses for our children. Does that pass the smell test of hundreds of millions of years evolution? Is it logical? I'm concerned about that. Uh, the CDC says we need to do 74 doses. The head of the CDC turns around and goes works for the government, then comes back around. She works for the CDC. I mean, it's just like Monsanto, man. It's a big money, corrupt, fascist mess. And I don't trust to put 74 doses of vaccine in my cat, myself, children, none of it. Fluoride, same thing. I don't trust it. A lot of kids have fluorosis now in their teeth. When I was a little kid, I was 6 years old. I got the little pink pills and I would spit them out behind my bed. And I had a whole pile of fluoride pills. And my mom found out. I'm pretty sure she whipped my butt. And now looking back, here they are, all my teeth. They look all right. They work all right. I didn't take fluoride pills. I don't trust it. When in doubt, should we put fluoride in the water? My answer would be no. Uh, they're guilty until proven innocent on that. There's lots of data supporting that's a bad idea. A lot of doctors and dentists now support that that's a bad idea. Just like the mercury that they put in the back of my mouth, now doctors are saying get rid of it. You had them, the little pink pills. I don't know why I spit them out, but I don't know. I guess I had good instincts or something. My sister didn't spit them out. She got fluorosis. Okay, so let's see here. Reverse osmosis, put a little pink salt in there. All right, so beverages. If you like soda, try Kavita. It's expensive. It's like 2 to 2.50 a bottle. So I don't drink the whole thing all at once. It's a carbonated beverage. It's called water kefir. It has low sugar. It's like 8 grams per bottle. Reverse osmosis sounds complicated. Yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's not exactly like passing the evolution test. If you can get actual spring water that's clean, by all means do it. I'm just trying to like filter out mankind and then make my own spring water. And it is complicated, but it's 150 bucks. It's something I think worth learning about if you're concerned about the quality of the water that you're drinking. Um, I'll do a scope all about reverse osmosis if you guys want. I'll show the system, how it's installed, where I ordered it from, all that. I've got it down in the basement, hooked up on the wall. We can talk about that. So Kavita, check that out. It's comes in so many flavors, delicious. Comes in a tonic with apple cider vinegar. Reverse osmosis is a slow squeezing process. Yep, that's pretty much all it is. When I say complicated, I mean in terms of it's high tech. And normally this list is saying like high tech is bad stuff, and RO kind of defies that logic. So I think that I have that same concern, but I go reverse osmosis because I'm trying to filter out mankind out of that. The complicated part seems like putting the stuff back in the water. Yeah, if you don't want to deal with that, like I said, just put a little pinch of pink salt. So salt will stop the hungriness, the demineralization of that water. So that's an easy fix if you don't want to get fancy with the remineralization. The remineralization filter is just a plug and play. You cut the tubing, you plug it in, and it flows through. Taylor and I look different. Yeah, a little bit. She's quite beautiful. I just I don't really like comb my hair that much and worry about. I didn't. This is my lazy shaving. I just shaved like right here, and I don't really grow facial hair right here, so I just kind of left all that. That's how I take care of myself. So next thing, kombucha. You can make kombucha at home. It's a probiotic. So is Kavita. Kavita's got probiotics in it. It's not filtered. It's naturally fermented. Um, so you can make kombucha. You go on Craigslist, you can find a SCOBY, and you can make kombucha from it. Kombucha is basically a fermented tea. They use black tea and green tea, usually black tea. It's got natural caffeine. You can do it all organic. It's expensive. It tastes good. So making your own might be worthwhile. You can get giant bottles of kombucha at the health food store for like $7. I saw that in the back of the store the other day. I don't go crazy on kombucha. Her hair is, yeah, she's got Pocahontas hair. I don't drink a lot of it, but I drink it from time to time. The only reason I don't drink a lot because it's expensive. I'm too lazy to make it anymore. I made it a few times. I'd love to have your list. Yeah, we need to digitize some of this stuff, right, and get it up online. I have another whole list of philosophical stuff that we did the other day, and I promised I'm gonna digitize that too and upload it somewhere. And maybe we'll do another scope on that topic because it's pretty fun, good stuff. So kombucha, Kavita, they're carbonated, they're sweet, they taste good, they're not too high in sugar. Your body ages. Is it true that the body after the age of 7 no longer needs milk? I don't know. To be honest with you, all I know is I need a lot of calories, and I don't want them to come from carbs. So I will go big on dairy products because I need calories, massive calories. I work for myself. I've engaged in all kinds of businesses. I used to work as a security guard. Once I saved up enough money, I started to work for myself, and I have a whole financial approach that I do, and we can talk about that too. It's again, it's not something that I'm selling. It's just what I do, and it maybe not be for everybody. Please post eventually. Super high and drunk. Fair enough. So homebrew. You know, I used to make homebrew. It's high in carbs. Alcohol turns to sugar. It shuts down your liver. You know, probably a pretty good argument against drinking any alcohol. But if you were going to drink alcohol, I would say drink unfiltered beer. Wine is very chemical intensive. Your body never needs milk. I don't know, man. Like I said, I need a lot of calories, and dairy is one of the ones that my body works well with. But ice cream is the one that I warn people about. Industrial dairy, I warn people about that too. I wouldn't eat industrial dairy. I would only eat organic dairy. I prefer raw dairy, and I prefer grass-fed dairy. It's as natural as you can get. Grass-fed goats, by all means, make the cheese. I mean, I think that's in the natural way of things. We need food. You know, I don't know, maybe some other people are different, but I need a huge amount of calories. I'm talking 3, 4,000, 5,000 calories a day. Um, and if I don't have, I just don't have the energy to chop wood and run up and down the hills and ride my dirt bikes and stuff. I need energy, so as long as it's coming from a clean source, I don't mind, and I eat a lot of dairy for that reason. I drink triple filtered vodka. Is that okay? Um, Vodka is basically more of a chemical than a beverage. Ice cream is wonderful poison. Yeah, it is. There's a lot of wonderful poisons in this world, isn't there? Here's the thing about vodka and every alcohol. It goes to your liver. It shuts your liver down. Normally, what your liver does is regulate your blood sugar. And that's rule number one here, regulate your blood sugar. When you go there and give your liver something more important to do, which is filter out and convert ethyl alcohol, and it converts it to sugar. Uh, that's why they call it, the fatty liver disease or non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Both of those are caused by the same thing. So the carbs create the non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. Um, Basically, if you shut your liver down, it can't regulate your blood sugar during that time, and it converts alcohol to blood sugar. I get beer munchies. I don't know about you guys, but when I drink dirt bikes, roughing environment, yes, I know. I make a trail and I just ride the same trail over and over. But dude, it tears up the freaking the trail. And I do it does kind of bother me a little bit. I also ride motorcycles on the road, so I drink so much vodka every day. I hear you. You know, it's an addiction, right? It's just like anything. You might be alcoholic. 10% of all people that drink alcohol become alcoholic. They become dependent. I was addicted to cigarettes. It's kind of the same thing. Alcohol kicks my ass in terms of because I have blood sugar sensitivity. I end up with low blood sugar when I drink. I get the munchies no matter what I drink. And if I drink when I used to drink regularly, I could drink 10, 12 beers. If I drank 10, I'd get a little hangover. If I drank 12, I'd get a nasty hangover. I'm only 150 pounds, so 12 beers puts me down the next day or next couple days actually. So I had to learn my lesson the hard way, and eventually I got away from it, little by little. But I'm not alcoholic. I was never addicted to alcohol the way I'm addicted to cigarettes, sugar, for example. So if you might be in that category where you're addicted to alcohol, that's a whole another ballgame of addiction. Bikes are dangerous. Yeah, I would say that's probably true. It's probably an unnecessary risk. I have a great life. I have a lot to lose. It's kind of stupid to be out there riding. Um, I don't ride in traffic. I only ride in the back roads and stuff like that. I ride for sport. I'm a functional alcoholic. Yeah, my dad was the same way. Um, he got a lot of shit done, and he would drink all day long. He would drink a lot of cheap beer usually every day. But it's like I said, it's an addiction. So in order to deal with an addiction, you might actually be able to help yourself by dealing with dietary issues because it can actually make you stronger mentally. It literally can make your brain work better so that you have more willpower and you have more care, right? You have to care big time in order to make huge changes. Send your list. I'll send you $10. I'll be happy to provide it. And I'm trying to think how, if you can send messages to Taylor, like on her website, her email address is on there. Um, try femyogasales@gmail.com. If you send a message there that I can get in touch with you, I'll send this over. I know for sure that that's one of her addresses. Yes, we'll post it, we'll digitize it. And we're going to do more scopes about philosophical stuff. And we can do a scope about addiction too. I'm not an expert on addiction, but I have kicked a few. So I can talk about it a little bit. So, okay. Homebrew. If you're going to do alcohol, I used to do home brew. I would lower the alcohol to about 4%, 4.5%, so that way I could drink a few without getting like a nasty hangover, you know. And it's unfiltered, so you have a fermented beverage that actually has the yeast. Yeast is 50% protein by weight. It's not a huge amount of protein, believe me, but it's a little something. You know, maybe there's some advantage. Putting a lot of hops in there might be some health advantage. 12 shots of vodka every day. 33-year-olds, when will I die? Um, I don't know. Everybody's different, you know. Some people are more sensitive than others. Um, some people live an amazing, impressive. Like look at Lane Staley, dude. He was like addicted to. I will, yeah. Anybody who wants to list. Let me run this by Taylor. Like, what's the best way? Maybe we can just put it on her website. I'll digitize it and put it on her website. Her website is. Oh man, I don't know the website. Let me see if she's down there. What's your website? Okay, cool. So you guys probably know this website better than me. Fenyoga.com. Maybe what we can do is just post the lists up on there and make that a little easier. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Everybody's different when it comes to how they handle toxicity. So it depends. But I highly recommend that you address the issue. You already admitted it. That you already did step one. So you have a very good chance, man. If you really want to change your life, you can. You absolutely can be free of it. I never thought I could quit smoking, but I somehow achieved it. Heavy alcohol consumption will definitely age a person. Sure, especially certain people. You know, some people handle it better. Some people handle it not as well as others. I would probably be dead right now. I can't. I don't do well with blood sugar issues. You know, some people have the type of DNA where they can withstand a punishing, and it is impressive, amazing. My dad was kind of like that. He was an ox, but he died at 66. So herbal teas. That's another beverage that can be fun. Yeah, I'm happy to. I'm glad that's what we want to do. You know, we want to not waste our time with information that's really not going to help people. We want to really focus on some real stuff. You know, there's so much out there, so much confusing crap. Quit cigarettes, good for you. Major bravo. Lazy as the next guy. I do relate to your thinking. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not. I don't work 16 hours a day on my feet or anything like that either. I like to try to be um, efficient, so I can have some time to just chill out and watch movies and stuff. I'm black, so I don't have to worry about aging, but I don't want to rot from the inside with cirrhosis or gout. I hear you, man. You know, I actually think that gout is related to blood sugar more than what they say it is, which is they say that it's like caused by rich man's disease, eating too much rich foods like meats and stuff like that. Maybe that's true, but I bet you if you trace it all back, it comes back to sugar. Once again, simple carbs, sugar, and flour. I wouldn't be surprised if gout was more related to that. So, to protect your liver, uh, consider alcohol like a sugar. It's like drinking a cola. You know, you got to kick it, um, and the sooner the better. Whatever it takes. You know, it's sometimes maybe you can try some of these other steps before you try kicking your addictions. You know, I often tell people that it's more important to quit sugar than it is to quit cigarettes. Again, I can't make a medical statement to back that up. I'm just saying from a reason standpoint, that may be the case. So maybe addressing some of this other stuff will give you some power and give you some hope and give you some care, and then you can use that power to punch through. Lemon water totally kills my gout. Wow, interesting. That's really interesting. I'll have to do some research on that. See, okay. I made you a little satanic food list. Number one satanic food, cola. How about ginger ale? You know, what is ginger ale? Think about the word ginger ale. So it's like if you fermented a ginger with sugar into an ale, like a beer, that would be a ginger ale. So it would probably be slightly alcoholic and it would actually have ginger. But if you go to the store right now to get a ginger ale, you're not going to get any of that. You're just going to get high fructose corn syrup and carbonated water. So ginger ale is neo ginger ale. It's not really ginger ale. So that's satanic. You know, high fructose corn syrup. Anytime you see that in an ingredient, that's no good. Sassafras. I love the flavor of real, true, like root beer. You know, root beer. It's fermented root into an ale. That's not what we have anymore. We have this fake thing, right? So that's sad, right? Some people have never like, oh my God, I have a stomach ache. I have some ginger ale. Well, you can't get any ginger ale from Pepsi Cola. You can only get high fructose corn syrup. Is that going to help your stomach ache? Probably not. That's our grandparents probably actually did have ginger ale and real root beer, right? And maybe even cola was actually fermented. So I get freaked out about all colas and sodas out there, guys. Just cut those 100%, cut them loose. Yep, spirulina and chlorella are going to be on one of my number one things that you can add to your diet. Especially if you're like me, where it's like I buy vegetables or bring them home, I put them in the fridge, they rot and they go in the compost pile. Spirulina is a powder, so it doesn't go bad. You can sprinkle it in your soup, put it in your oatmeal, you put it in your spaghetti, whatever it is you're eating, you can put spirulina in there, just enough you don't taste it, and turn everything green. Bottled water versus tap water, which is better for me? I would say bottled water. Bottled water is just filtered tap water in most cases. Um, but make your own bottled water. That's my theory. They had cocaine in Coca-Cola from the beginning. Yeah, it was probably organic cocaine too. Now they have actually like caffeine in a cocaine form, and that's all. And if you take caffeine not in a cocaine form, it's actually not bad, like kombucha in a black tea. Coke used to have coconut. Yeah, indeed it did. But it was probably fermented too. It was probably actually a really nice beverage. Bottled water versus tap water. Yeah, so make your own bottled water. I wouldn't drink tap water. I wouldn't drink bottled water. Make your own by getting a filter under your sink. It's 150 bucks. Reverse osmosis, the full lab quality. You're gonna get like if your water comes in at 100 TDS, it's gonna come out at like 2 to 5 TDS. Pretty pure. I'm so afraid of dying and have accomplished nothing with my life. If you're afraid of dying, that's good because that gives you motivation to like do what you got to do. You know what I mean? That's what got me motivated was fear. Sad but true, man. Plastic bottles bad? Yes. Generally speaking, plastic bottles in the sun in the heat, they're going to leach potentially some chemicals. I would be concerned about. I drink out of glass. This is a apple sauce jar that I just cleaned and I reuse it all the time because it has a positive seal, relatively, leak-free type of seal. And I clean them out once in a while. I just put my own water in there. So herbal teas, organic herbal teas, that can make a fun beverage for you if you're trying to kick cola. Um, Industrial ice cream, that's satanic food list. It's got GMO corn syrup, dirty dairy. It's got everything, the worst thing you can imagine. I think ice cream, they had like this thing where it's like eat ice cream for breakfast for kids that have cancer or something. And I was just like, Jesus, that's like the worst thing. That probably microwave food. Because I'm such a fan of convenience, as long as you're not breaking this rule here of massive doses of sugar, I would say microwave is a lesser problem than that. Less microwave food is a health infraction, probably a lot more minor than some of these major things here. I think it definitely destroys nutrients. Um, at what point turning age? There's no point at what age is the turning point generally. My dad used to say, if a person is like falling off a cliff and they're like, it's gonna hit the ground and you're like, what should I do? Basically the question is how should you land? If you haven't necessarily fallen off that cliff, then you still have a chance to turn things around, man. Believe me, you could feel 15 years younger. You could feel healthier, feel happier, have more energy. I mean, if you're sick, especially me, when I'm sick, I'm just miserable. And if your digestive system isn't working and you're toxic, then you're kind of sick. So you can't really feel joy. And without joy, you're not going to have like this hope. Without hope, you're not going to give a crap. And when you don't give a crap, it's easier to keep on drinking, keep on abusing your body. So you got to trace that backwards and, sort of address all those issues to get back to the original source of the problem. And then you have the power maybe to overcome it and use the fear to power you over that hump. I was terrified in the hospital that my lung was going to recollapse because I did the surgery to me like wide awake. I had no pain meds. I told them I didn't want any meds. I was terrified of the meds, so I just said, "Do the surgery. I won't move." And I kind of held onto the railing as the guy did what he had to do. He punctured. He had to go through all the layers and shit. It was terrifying. So I had that fear and terror to help me quit smoking, and it worked. And I'm thankful for it. It's funny how that works. Just found out I'm pre-diabetic. Yeah, so many people have the beginnings of insulin resistance. That's pre-diabetic. What they'll usually do is prescribe metformin for you. Yeah, it was gnarly, dude. It was. I was crying. I had this nurse's hand. I like crushed the poor lady's hand. It was so embarrassing. But I didn't take any morphine. Um, People live longer in cold weather, warm water. I think cold weather for some reason. My bowels give me serious problems daily. Not happy. I know so many people in that boat too. Same thing. That's an autoimmune disease. All these things are chronic health diseases. Giving up tasting pleasurable foods. Yes, that's right. My taste buds have changed now. So actually, when I eat like a piece. I can eat a spoon of peanut butter and it tastes like Reese's peanut butter cups to me. It's amazing, and it has 1 gram of sugar in it. So your taste buds are relative. If you quit sugar, then healthy foods suddenly taste good. I don't live a life of misery the way that I eat. I love my life. I love my food. I look forward to eating like all day, every day. Must have smoked more than Humphrey Bogart to get that shit. I smoked about a pack and a half a day. I didn't take the morphine. Basically, they had an IV set up in the emergency room, and they told me they were going to give me this stuff. I was like, whoa, 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 what are you doing? What is that? And they're like, it's morphine. We're going to give you a few cc's. And I was like, how many cc's? They're like 10. And I was like, well, how about just try 2? So they did 2, and I felt nausea, like in my leg muscles and stuff. Like all my muscles just felt like sick, like instantly. I just shot right up in bed. And I was like, oh, I was like, I don't like that shit. And I just started to cry. I was like, oh man, I can't take this. Just do the surgery. And I just let him do it. And afterwards I felt better. I didn't have to come through I didn't have to like kick off the morphine haze or anything like that. They brought me like a puke bucket and said, "You feel okay?" I was like, "Yeah, I feel great. I feel fine. I don't need puke." So I was so glad I didn't take the morphine, but I do have that memory of the surgery that haunts me a little bit. Milk tastes like milkshake to me now. Nice. Should have gotten the pain med, then sold it on black market. You're lucky you don't live near an awesome tasting donut shop. Yeah, I mean, every day I freaking go, I can smell like the McDonald's and stuff when I drive by, and it does smell good to me, but it's just like cigarettes. I will never relapse. I can promise you that. Morphine did nothing for me, refused it. No kidding. Yeah, some people, everybody's biochemistry is different. So for me, it was a horrible, poisoning, sickening feeling. I hated it. I've never been, my drug of choice has probably always been um, stimulants, which would be I smoke cigarettes. That's nicotine. It's a stimulant. It's the same family as caffeine and cocaine. I've never done cocaine. Thank God, because I'd probably love it. I don't drink caffeine. I don't drink soda or coffee. Um, I'd probably love that too. Touch the frame of your glasses if you're a proponent of smoking weed. Yes, I am a proponent of smoking weed. I think that the drug war is a criminal, horrible thing that we the people allow the government to uh, impose upon the world. We fund it with our tax money. It's just wrong. It doesn't take a genius to reason your way through that one. Um, so cannabis can be grown organically. It's been around for a long, long time. Humans have evolved. We probably have actually bred cannabis and hybridized it ourselves over millennia. So to have someone tell you what you can and can't put in your body is insane, right? That's the anti-freedom. Took care of my mom, smoker with COPD. She said she was healthy, just couldn't breathe. Yeah, COPD is a problem because the damage to lung tissue in some ways can be kind of permanent. So you have COPD is like chronic producing cough, like chronic bronchitis, plus emphysema. Um, so unfortunately, COPD, as far as I know, is not super reversible. But how many people have actually done that and quit sugar and flour? Maybe it is reversible to some extent. Don't know. My dad had mild COPD. He'd smoked, 2 packs of Marlboros a day since he was 8 years old. From the age of 8 to 66, he smoked 2 packs. Pretty much not from the age of 8. He wasn't smoking 2 packs, but he was 2 to 3 packs a day kind of guy. I was a 1.5 pack a day, 2 packs a day kind of guy. So COPD is something that you want to avoid before it gets too bad. I think, generally speaking, have a bot cannabis. Yeah, I mean, if I was going to be smoking cannabis, I would definitely not want to smoke chemical cannabis, petrochemically fertile. I don't smoke cannabis, by the way, but I have smoked it many times. When I was a kid, I used to love smoking it. Then I started to get anxiety, but I was probably smoking some chemical stuff, you know what I mean? I don't know what it was. So I remember one time I saw clay faces, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's a hallucinogen. That's not normally, they probably spiked it with some chemicals or something. And I used to start getting anxiety from smoking, so I don't smoke anymore. Oh yeah, I inhaled for sure. Romaine lettuce, be careful. 60 ill with E. coli. You know, I've heard a story where people would drink out of a well at their home, and over time they can become resistant to their own bacteria in that well, and then somebody comes along. Secrets to eternity. Yeah, I feel like this is right. This is my secret to eternity: to quit sugar and flour. And so, shoot, I lost my story. So you're drinking out of a well that's contaminated with E. coli, and everybody's fine. Somebody who doesn't live there comes along and drinks it, and they get sick. And it happens like when you go to Mexico. Um, Montezuma's Revenge. You get nasty diarrhea from drinking the water until you develop your own immunity to it. Um, Now, if you filter your water with at least a 1 micron filter, it'll filter out most bacteria. So again, I don't drink water that's not filtered ever. Although I regret that I can't. I wish I was like a freaking dog that can go drink out of a mud puddle and not get sick, but I drink filtered water. Eat vegetables your whole life, you may live another 6 months longer. Well, I think that humans are capable to live a lot longer than the average lifespan of Americans. I'll say that. And I would want to live a high quality life that whole time. All kinds of bad shit happens in Mexico. What do you do? Cut out pizza, pasta, bread? Yes, I cut out everything that has all the things you mentioned there. Yes. Downside of cannabis is messing with properties and strength. Hold on a sec. Let me see if I can bring that back. The only downside to cannabis is they're messing with its properties and strength. Gotcha. Having a bad case of swollen feet. My doctor said it was for low potassium. Okay. So, do you still smoke? Oh, I quit. I don't smoke cigs or cannabis anymore. Although I absolutely don't judge people for smoking cannabis in any way, shape, or form. Yes, they are messing with cannabis. I'd be terrified if they go GMO on that. That would really suck. Other than that, if they're just doing selective breeding, I have no concerns there. I mean, yeah, it is true. You can only smoke half a hit without getting wrecked if you don't have a resistance to it. A bad case of swollen feet from potassium. Yeah, that's kind of what they told me when my ear was blowing up. They're like, it's a potassium sodium thing. It's a water issue. Take water pills. I ignored them. I quit sugar. I eat as much potassium or go without potassium or eat as much sugar or eat as much salt as I want. But sugar I can't do. I bet you that would help you as well. Look at sugar and flour as a solution. Food is pointless without carbs. I'm not saying you should eat no carbs. That right here is talking about 4-3-3. That's 20 to 30 grams of carbs per meal, 4 to 5 meals a day. But I'd like to see those carbs come from vegetables as much as possible. I eat some corn chips and stuff, purple corn chips. But still, you got to limit it to how much you're eating. Do you smoke? No, I quit. I did quit smoking cannabis and cigarettes. If I did smoke, I wish I had smoked organic cigarettes, but I didn't even know about that back then. Quit last year. Good for you. That is awesome. Quitting is the thing to do when it comes to cigarettes. What else do we have on our satanic food list? Industrial ice cream. Uh, any foods that are pure carbs. Twinkies, Skittles. There's nothing in there but pure carbs. Swedish fish. One of Taylor's favorite candies that she no longer eats. Cookies, cakes, candies. All that stuff has nothing in it. You've convinced me I'm quitting processed sugars and flour, but can I still drink beer? Sure, drink. If you can handle it, maybe try unfiltered beers. And congratulations to you if you can manage to do that. I think you'll see massive and quick improvements to your health, even if you already feel healthy. There's so many benefits to it. Subway salad's healthy. I'm not that familiar with what that really is, but if you can eat vegetables with cheese, I mean, and chicken and stuff like that, just leave the bread off of it. That's going to give you like a nice balance. American Spirit, yeah, I've heard that they're like organic cigs, basically, right? I don't know if they are organic for sure. I don't know. That's a good question. If they just grew it with compost and didn't spray it with pesticides, then it's good by me, whether it's certified or not. Start with baby steps, you'll feel better. Yeah, I agree. Baby steps for sure. Like pick out on this list, quitting sugar, balance out your fat, eat lots of vegetable content, even if it's from soups or spirulina or whatever. Go healthy fats, avoid those cheap vegetable oils. Go organic when possible, and avoid industrial GMO. Um, and I have pastured free range chicken, eggs, stuff like that. If you can do some of those things, take baby steps. Pick out one that think works for you. But this is the real deal end result. If you can't quit sugar and flour, and you have any health problems, then you really are only ever addressing the symptoms and not the root cause. If I'm right, and it's true that this is the root cause of all these chronic illnesses, then that has to be solved. And because it's addictive, some people will have a harder time than others quitting that. So, yeah, it's kind of hard to take baby steps when you're dealing with an addiction. That is part of the problem with going in. It's like a one-way street. What's bad about tobacco? The nicotine tar adds. I honestly don't know. That's a really good question. I've contemplated that with my friends. We've philosophized about that. Took out all the charms, Lucky Charms, ate the whole bowl. Yeah. I can't say for sure what it is about cigarettes that's so terrible. Because are all the people that are doing it, are they all carb junkies? Probably most of us are, you know. What would it be if you had a perfectly organic, healthy diet and you smoked organic cigarettes and organic tobacco? Might not be a problem at all. I like rice and chicken with broccoli. Yeah, nice. Absolutely. Yeah, if you take the any cereal like Cheerios has a heart. I don't know if it still has it, but it had the heart healthy check mark from the American Heart Association. Then the American Heart Association came out and said that coconut oil is bad and vegetable oils are good. Well, there you go. Corruption, because there's money behind it. You know, they have their motive is money. Coconut oil is not an American product. Vegetable oil is. So therefore, coconut oil is bad for your health. Need to see the movie where cig companies got busted adding. I think I screwed up. Adding addictive chems. Yeah, right. I mean, that's what I'm wondering. If I had been smoking like natural organic tobacco, maybe I wouldn't have had the problems I had. Maybe if I was eating healthy food and smoking organic tobacco, I would have been fine. No lung collapse, no ear blowing up. I think it's a compulsive combustion and tar intake. Yeah, I mean, it does make some sense that there could be some damage. Thank you, Chuck. Um, just from the smoke itself, because you're smoking a lot of grams. You smoke weed, you're smoking like what, half a gram or something, maybe a gram or two a day if you're really smoking a lot. But with a cigarette, it's 2 grams every cigarette. So if you smoke 2 packs, that's 40 grams of combustion that you're breathing in because of the addiction. Smoking anything is unhealthy no matter what it is, and inhaling smoke in the lungs is not good. Yeah, you're probably right. But we all have adapt. You know, I say pick your battles, right? Your body can probably handle the vodka, the cigarettes, um, but why not? I'd rather pick my battles. You know, like I said, my sins are. I'm trying to, do ones that are a little less. You get the idea. If I pick my, I want to use my body's power to fight vodka or cigarettes. I'll probably succeed to some extent, but I'd rather use my time to like maybe like I don't know like live longer or maybe just working harder or maybe I get some stress if I'm going to have children or something. I want to be able to deal with that stress with not getting to sleep. Either way, your body's going to have to tackle this difficult situation. So I say pick your battles as best as you can. And don't get me wrong, I know people get addicted. There's not a whole lot of choice once you're in it, you know. Cigarettes are very dangerous, the herbal ones. I'm not sure. Some people spontaneously combust. I wonder. I wonder about that. Is Taylor okay with you not doing yoga? Yeah, she doesn't. She doesn't really get on my case about it. I mean, I don't. I've studied yoga from the perspective of Eat, Move, and Be Healthy from Paul Chek's book, and he basically does yoga and doesn't call it yoga. You know, so it's I'm not opposed to yoga by any means. I just again I'm picking my battles. I'm using my physical my time and my physical energy. I'm doing other kinds of exercise. I'm not saying that I might be better off doing yoga. I admit that for sure. I mean, I don't know. I don't know for sure. Maybe some people spontaneously combust. That's unfortunate. I don't know if there's any scientific proof of spontaneous combustion. I don't know. I've never really studied it very. I think I studied a little bit trying to find out if it was real. I definitely saw the self-immolation of that monk that burned himself. That was crazy. So what else do we have? I showed you guys my good food list. I showed you the satanic food list, and I talked about cola. Yeah, we got it all covered. You know. So everybody's path is going to be different. As long as you're making a little improvement, that's all that matters. So even if you just pick one little thing and just try to improve your life, then you're on the right path. Doesn't really matter which thing you pick. But eventually, I'd like to see people get to that. If there's something causing them harm and making them suffer, you want to get to the bottom of it, not just treat the symptoms. Modern medicine doesn't seem to have the capability to do this, what we're doing here. Smoke herbal cigs, they drop burning embers all the time. No kidding. Self defenestration. I don't know what that one is. Hopefully it's not as bad as self immolation. But yeah, just getting on the path of improving, whether it be whatever it may be. Usually it comes down to self responsibility. That's what I always say. Anytime you're in doubt, just do the thing that's more self responsible, and you'll probably come out in really good shape. This is the other list that we did the other day where it talks about that. Self responsibility starts here and ends there. It loops right back around. Irresponsibility starts there and ends there. It loops right back around. Same kind of thing. Any of the problems that we talked about today, you end up, they're over here. You know, you're more susceptible to things with diet, illness, stress, stuff like that. You'd be more susceptible to addictions. I have that specifically on here. More susceptible to temptations and addictions and drug abuse. You're not feeling as happy. Jumping out of a window? Yeah, it could be. Never, if you ever seen the movies where people attempt suicide, most of the time, I think they do this on purpose. Most of the time, it's a terrible way that they chose. It's a hard. Some food just tastes so good. Yes, I know. Keep in mind that you're. Yeah, I will. I'll try to post this up, you guys. I think that you'll have a lot of fun with this. Yeah, her scope. You can see this scope where we talked about this. Um, the temptation. This is what it is, guys. Temptation, right here. Temptation. Simple carb addiction. Altered taste buds. Tastes so good. Ever seen a little baby get their first candy? It's probably not that good for them at tasting. It's almost like your first cigarette. It's not that good. You have to sort of force yourself into that addiction almost somehow. And I wonder if we're doing that to our kids. You know, there's your first birthday, have some cake. We feed them pure carbs with sugar on top. You know, how much are we affecting the way that they're developing by doing that? That goes. You do that to your children, and it loops them right back around on the same side. But if you have the knowledge and you don't do that to your children, they have a better chance to be on this side. That's the general idea. I had it done to me. Every little kid I know has it done to them. We feed them this stuff. If you ever looked at baby formula, holy crap! It's made out of corn syrup solids. That's what they call it, corn syrup solids. They just decided to try to copy breast milk, but they did it with corn syrup. And they give kids special infant water that's hyperfluoridated. I think now they have non-fluoridated water as well that you can give to your kids. Which one makes more sense? You know, I mean, they're gonna baby teeth. Um, they're going to lose their baby teeth, so why would you give them fluoride? And then the fluoride affects their bones for the rest of their life. It weakens their bones. There's data to support that. So I don't know. It's crazy that we do that kind of stuff. And again, that ignorance is on this side. Ignorance is on the same section with temptation and irresponsibility. We do that to our kids. We're looping them back around into this cycle of illness and bad news. They could end up, you know, in the same. So we got to have this knowledge and be honest and real about these things. If we let the government guide us, sometimes we get off. You know, we have to guide ourselves, do your own research, that kind of thing. It hijacks their synapses. What does the sugar? Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, and maybe I start that at an early age. You wouldn't even notice. You know, you wouldn't even notice that you're addicted to something. My young child loves pancakes and bacon, but it was tough with the crowd. Oh, I know, I know. I was the same way. Pancakes was my thing when I was a kid. Oops. And I don't know how you're supposed to. I don't have children, so I can't even speak to that. Crap, I did something to the iPhone. That's not good. So I don't know how to handle iPhones. Let's see. Hey, babe, are you still there? I got into something on the iPhone and I can't get out. Wait, I think I got it. Oh, I'm out. Okay, cool. So yeah, I'm good. Thank you, babe. So pancakes, yeah, I grew up pancakes, French toast, ice cream, all that stuff. That was my thing. But if you look at it, it's all pure carbs. I used to do the corn syrup syrup, the actual corn syrup ingredient type syrup. I must have gone through hundreds of bottles of that in my life. So my mom always used to tell me, "You're gonna get sick someday if you don't eat healthy." And I was like, "What are you talking about, Mom? I feel great." Right up until my ear exploded and my lung collapsed, I was good. I never got fat. Like some people get fat, but like I said earlier, half of the people that have metabolic disease are not overweight. She is down there working on something. I'm upstairs. Well, I hope that you can do something for yourself. You know, like you said, if you know what your problem that you have, it's your addiction, and you can identify it, you have already got hope. You know what I mean? You got some hope. You can turn your life awesome. And I think there's so many people. Just think how much better the world would be if we all could free ourselves from the illness that we're all. So many people are suffering. So many people on this scope have talked about like digestive issues and things like that. But yet we're all still, as a group, doing the sugar thing, the carb thing. So until we solve that and address that, we can't really get our healthcare system sorted out. We can't get our financial stuff sorted out. Our families are suffering. Um, whenever you have financial stress, it squeezes the family, it hurts the family, no doubt about it. And that goes back into the cycle. If you have a weak family, a weakened family, then you can't pass on like knowledge and wisdom and wealth and opportunities to your kids, and they end up in that bad loop. So this is all part of it. We have to kick this. We have to fix this. Otherwise, we can't fix anything. Government can't do this for us. We have to do it ourselves. To me, that's a message of hope because the government doesn't typically do a lot of things for us. Are you afraid of not living past 60? Um, I would say that when I was suffering, when I was really sick, I didn't care, man. I just wanted out. I would have been happy if they had said, "Hey, time's up. You're out of here." I would have been like, "Oh, thank God," because I'm suffering. I know that feeling. I'm not suicidal, never have been, but I. That's the only time when you get really sick, like it's almost like death would be a release. And so we're not as humans, we're not supposed to be in that state. I think we get in that state from the illness, from chronic illness over time, from this kind of stuff. So if absent that, life is something to look forward to every day. Uh, you can set yourself up with a life that you look forward to every single day by being on that other side of that chart, the positive side of that chart. That's how you get there. If you're on the negative side of the chart, you can get into despair. And I used to be like where I would be like happy every other day kind of thing, and every other day was depressing. It's devastating to be so ill. Yeah, totally is. It's just and it's especially true that you can imagine how it would be when you're ill. It's like you appreciate the healthy thing that you had, but you can't get back to it, because it's like a spiral. It gets worse and worse. So you can break that cycle, but you have to break the cycle with responsibility. Like the doctors, generally speaking, can't do it for us. And I think some of them know that, but they treat our symptoms. They don't actually get to the root cause. So we can do that. That's the message of hope. You guys that are suffering and sick, I bet you, I'd be willing to bet that the majority of those people are can turn it around. Diabetes, cancer even. There's people out there who have reversed cancer by doing like the keto thing and the vegetable diet thing and all that stuff. So it's hard to do if you can smell that donut shop, like somebody said. So it's worth doing though. That's why I said like this is rule number one. That's the most worth doing is quitting that sugar and quitting carbs. Balance, getting control of that. And then you can start worrying about all the other fancy stuff and getting organic and making shakes and getting pastured and whatever it is you want to do. That stuff I feel like can come later. Now Taylor, she takes a different approach. She says it's actually so hard, so impossible to beat the sugar thing that she's going to try some of this other stuff instead, and then hopefully gain enough power to beat that. And I think that's a perfectly valid approach. What she does is she does mostly almost all organic. She's aware of the vegetable thing. She's aware of the healthy fast thing. She addresses that. We do pastured and organic chicken and eggs and all that stuff. Um, and she does the grass fed, vitamin K2, the D3, grain brain. I've heard about it, haven't read it. The vodka thing, yeah, man, definitely address that. Treat it like you're going to war against yourself, like the angel and the devil. That's exactly what this chart is all about. This chart is angel and devil, self-responsibility, irresponsibility, temptation, and sin. I'm not religious. This isn't a religious thing, but it might as well be because you know, it's a perfect analogy. So the devil wants you to tempt you to do the sin and be irresponsible and get the illness, which leads to addiction. Whereas the angel wants you to be responsible and be challenged and have virtue. And then you just keep winning. I mean? That's the winning side. This side is where the devil kind of punishes you as you go. So if you're in that cycle, you just have to flip over here by using self-responsibility. And I'm giving you knowledge right now. That's a challenge to you to be self-responsible, and you can kick that. That's kind of how you could look at it like that. And it's worth it. Like I said, this gives you that hope. When you start getting hope, you start getting into all kinds of things like wealth, family. I mean, there's all kinds of great rewards over here and all kinds of punishments over here. I've been trying to kick sugar and carbs, but the struggle is real. Yeah, I totally get that, man. Like I said, I had to be pounded with the vertigo to get it through my skull. I had probably the worst diet you've ever seen. When I went to school, it was for lunch. I had 3 bags of Doritos and 2 or 3 ice cream bars. That was my lunch. I had the money because I worked at my dad's and I earned money as a kid, so I could buy that junk. And it was the lunch ladies were probably like, "What the hell? What if you're a dirty bulker? Uh-oh." No disrespect, but Taylor would have this info pasted all over his screen. Yes, I know, I know. This is, you guys can't read this. I know it's not digitized. That's unfortunate. This is my fourth revision. I did it by hand. I just wanted to get the info out there. We need to digitize this and get it up on our website, femyoga.com. That's the plan. So we're going to get that info up, and we're going to get the whole dietary info, and we're going to have more scopes about this kind of stuff. This is the philosophy of it. And then one of the biggest parts of this philosophy is the nutrition part. They also have the financial part. So we're going to do, we did the nutrition part today, and we can do the financial part separate another time. But it's really all about this philosophy. It's we call it the victim. I call it the victim blaming mat because we're taking responsibility for everything. I have to dirty bulk because it's hard to pre-make meals. Yes, I totally get that too. Uh, you know, um, convenience is such a big deal. Believe in determinism or free will? I believe in free will because I believe that if there's a God, it's the only gift He really could have given us is a hands off. And He might be jealous of us because we had no safety net. They said that in some movie. I think it was maybe like Gladiator or something. He said the secret is like, oh no, it was in the movie Troy. Achilles said that the secret is that the gods envy us. And I'm sorry I missed those comments. I'm going to try to get back to them next one pops up. He said that the secret is the gods envy us. And I think he was talking about because we don't have a safety net here on Earth. So to me, I would suspect that we must have free will. Because what else do we, if we don't have that, what do we have? The question was, I have to take in protein any way I can. Yeah, I kind of get that. I do kind of get that. You got to work with what you got within the bounds of your resources and your capabilities. What is the website? It's femyoga.com. That's just where we're going to post this. I need more info on nutrition. Here's all the info you need for now. For starters, all these diets and all this stuff, all I'm saying is quit sugar and flour, get your fat and protein balance. Read up on Dr. Sears, the Zone Diet. You don't have to follow it to a T, it gives you some idea. Vegetable content. We're talking green leafy stuff. Get a lot of vegetables and green leafy stuff. The chlorophyll is what you're after. Healthy fats, omega-3s, coconut oil, extra virgin olive oil, grass-fed, full-fat dairy. Avoid GMO vegetable oils, especially if they're heated, fried, cooked, baked. Number 4, organic versus industrial. Industrial has consequences. Industrial meat, industrial crops. There's consequences to that. Organic means it's grown in compost, the natural way. Can't be sprayed with heavy chemical pesticides, herbicides. It's not fertilized with petrochemical fertilizers, that kind of thing. So organic probably has health benefits that we don't even know about. If you shop carefully, it doesn't have to be a lot more expensive than industrial, especially if you're just cutting out all the junk food because the junk food is actually pretty expensive, especially in terms of protein. Pastured, free-range chickens, eggs, turkeys, hogs. That's expensive. It's expensive to find those kinds of things. I recommend doing minimal amount of meat. Don't go. I wouldn't recommend going crazy on meat. The vegetarian thing, the miscellaneous stuff, acid versus basic, cleansing, fasting, vitamin supplements. I recommend K3 and D2 supplements. So that's all the basics. I recommend even getting started with if you don't know a lot about nutrition. Focusing right here. That's the carbs. Got to get the simple carbs out. That's the sugar, the flour, the apple juice, orange juice, fruit juice, gigantic fruits. All that stuff is a lot of sugar. It causes unbelievable mess with your body when you have huge amounts of sugar and then you get high blood sugar and then low blood sugar. Then you do it again and it just keeps spiking all day long. It beats the crap out of your body in many ways. Flour is the same as sugar. B17 cure for cancer? Maybe. I don't know if it's a cure, but it's definitely interesting. Type this stuff out. Yes, I totally agree. We need to do that. Email it to her. Yes. Your thoughts on red meat? I have no problem with red meat. I eat some red meat. I eat some white meat. I don't eat a lot of meat. I try to eat grass-fed, organic, pastured products, meat products. A wife like mine? I never thought that I could ever get a wife like mine. I'll tell you that. Um, you know what? I lived at my mom's house for a long time because I was saving money, and I looked like a pretty much like a loser because everybody had a place but me. And I like my mom. I have no problem living with my mom. But I lived there till I was like 29. And for some reason, the ladies just seemed to pass me by. But when I finally got my own place, suddenly I had I had a chance to meet a quality mate, and that was a huge motivation for me to like work harder, make more money, that kind of thing. So Taylor is helps motivate me. And she's a great person. You know, she's great to be married to. I can tell you that. And I'm grateful for that. I'm blessed, and we talk about all the time how blessed we are and stuff. We know, you know. Again, I'm not religious. We're not being religious about it. Um, I don't know if there's a creator, but I don't buy into Christianity. That's for sure. Asians live and take care of their folks. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think that's cool. You know, I think that people should be able to take care of themselves. Generally speaking, when they get, I would save money for that day when I can no longer take care of myself. I want to be able to pay for someone to take care of me if I'm going to stick around. Love how matter of fact you are. Thanks, man. Yeah, some things I'm sure about, and a lot of things I'm not. You know. Oh, Taylor's in here. Cool. I think Taylor is super awesome. Yes, definitely. I missed some comments there. You all right? Are you in there? So yeah, we're very blessed about it, and we have a lot of time, a lot of free time to study and learn these things. And we what we want to do, it's like you're sitting around thinking, well, to be honest with you guys, like we have enough money where we don't really have to work right now. So we're like, well, what do we want to do then? Just sit around and watch TV? Or could we maybe find something to actually help the world? And being that I'm not a doctor, I'm allowed to say whatever I want. And I'm not a financial professional, so I can say whatever I want about that too. So I can try to tell people what I think is reading in between the lines of the official narrative. You know, I don't believe in the food pyramid. Of course, they changed that anyways, but there's so many things that if you go by the book, you pretty much get nowhere. And I'm trying to figure out what are the shortcuts that are practical that other people can actually do. And in this whole chart here that we showed, I show two things that you can do. Self-responsibility, sorry about the crackling. Self-responsibility things you can do on this side here is blood sugar. Get your blood sugar sorted out. We talked about that a million times, right? And gold. Gold is the opposite of debt and credit. Debt and credit is like we're in a credit craze. Anybody right now can go to a coin show and buy some silver or some gold and sort of absolutely fight against debt. Of course, you got to be out of debt to be able to buy anything unless you're otherwise you're still in debt. But that's the other thing that's practical that people can do that from a financial perspective. Once you take care of some of your health issues, you can get more power, more productivity, and then you can start dealing with some financial issues because these two things are kind of like one of the most important things people talk about. And I say that if you're healthy and wealthy, you're going to get that quality mate. You're going to be a quality mate. He said, prove it by screaming. So, yeah, so because I'm not a doctor, I'm not a financial expert, I'm allowed to say whatever I want. I try not to tell people to do things that are harmful. Obviously, I wouldn't want to tell you a nutritional thing that's going to hurt you. Like I said, I don't recommend people go with no carbs. I recommend they go with low carbs. I have no debt, home paid for, spend bucks on deer, corn, and cat food. Do you mean beer, corn, and cat food? No, or actually deer. Yeah, that's awesome to have no debt. That is huge. No problem. I'm happy to. Happy to come on and chit chat with you guys. Yeah, being out of debt is rare, and it's huge if you can do that for yourself. And a lot of times you have to cut corners to get there, and you have to be sort of judged by other people. Deer, no kidding, you did mean deer. Nice. Yep. I feel like you know, like I said, I recommend people uh, to eat some meat. I don't think that's necessarily the best health strategy to eat no meat. Uh, but I do think it's good to appreciate your meat. And if you're eating deer, you can appreciate it probably more than you can appreciate industrial meat. I scoped feeding deer a few times. Nice. Yeah, if you live in a kind of a place where you can get away with that, feeding deer, you know, in the suburbia or out in the outer reaches, your typical meals in a day. For me, unfortunately, my diet's probably not as good as it should be. But because I base my time on um, convenience. So I'd wake up, I would eat some peanut butter. Literally, I would scoop out peanut butter to get myself started. There's no carbs in that, so that's not a great start. You want to eat some carbs. No meat better than shite meat. Maybe you might be right about that. You know, that's why I said maybe vegetarians and vegans are right for the wrong reasons. Um, I don't think that your optimal health is a no meat diet. But I could be wrong on that. I'm open to that. Nice green belt back of my home. All kind of critters show up. Nice. That's awesome. A little bit of nature, a little bit of reality. I'm so thankful there's still any nature out there. You know what I mean? There's 8 billion people almost now on the planet, and we're lucky to be in a country where there's a low population density of humans. I was studying population the other day. It's such an interesting topic. If you look at the human population through time, it's pretty much like there was none until like 1800, and all of a sudden it just started to rocket up. So you could say that so many people live now and have lived recently and will live soon that it overwhelms the entirety of human history. In other words, how many human lives have occurred between 1800 and now versus between the beginning of humans, modern humans, till now? I mean, it's like all of human history has occurred just now when you look at it from those statistics. And also, looking at how unstable the world is with population, it bounces all over the place. The population density and like the capitals and the main population cities of the world, they bounce all over the place. It's not very stable. In other words, our country and what we have, that's normalcy bias. It's not going to last. It's going to change. Can't figure out why we have to live in cities nowadays. Yeah, I mean, it's not for. I mean, it's not for everybody. I am so uh, repelled by crowdedness, overcrowdedness, I should say. I would do anything to avoid it. And I moved to a place where I felt like I could kind of avoid it as much as possible, but not be too far away from where I need to go to get food and stuff like that, shopping. So yeah, peanut butter, let's see. I would probably do like a soup. I do a lentil and vegetable soup. I would do some yogurt, like Greek yogurt sometimes, full fat, organic, grass-fed dairy whenever possible, with a little bit of applesauce. I might grab at some point an apple with some more peanut butter to actually make it easier to move out. Yeah, that's true. I think the reason that the population went like that was because of oil. We used to get oil at about 100 to 1 in terms of barrels coming out of the ground. We use one barrel. Beans, yes, definitely. Beans and lentils are basically the same thing. Um, I would say go with a variety of beans and lentils for sure, big time. Quinoa is okay. It's a little higher in carbs, but not too bad. You can put those in your soups, and you can spice them up with healthy spices and make all kinds of different flavors. You can add a little chicken to it. Um, so oil is what caused us to have this. Like we basically used to have slaves, which is kind of horrible in terms of freedom, right? It's completely anti-freedom. And now we have oil instead. So that machines can do our work for us. When you actually calculate how much work goes into powering your house in terms of electricity, it's like you'd have every person, every everyday person has like 50 slaves worth of power that's like working for them to keep their life maintaining as it is. Thank you for the super hearts, appreciate that. And so if you can you imagine that? Like we have everybody has 50 slaves right now and doesn't even know it. Essentially, so now we're only getting oil out of the ground at a rate of 1 to 5 barrels. So we put in one barrel of energy to get 5 out. So it's 20 times less than what we used to get. So as our population rises and our energy extraction is reduced, our standard of living is going to have to come down, and we're going to have to get more real and more self-responsible. I think that this dependency on oil has made us kind of weak, and we squander it, the power that has been given us. Need a bot that can clean a litter box. They do kind of have that automatical scooping thing. I've seen that, but I just figured it was a freaking hunk of junk and do it myself. But maybe it works. I don't know. I don't mind scooping. We only have one cat though, and he usually goes outside. So when I had 2 cats, I had to scoop almost every day. He heard me talking about him. So, anyways, the oil issue is a big thing. Those things suck. Yeah, it probably needs a little needs the bugs worked out of it before I would get one, I guess. We uh we used like flushable kitty litter for a while there. I tried to get my cat to go in the bathroom and go in the toilet, but didn't. It did kind of work, but eventually she just peed on the floor and she gave up. So we had to get the litter box back. It was a cool idea though. Maybe if I had tried it again or tried a little harder, would have worked. But anyways, I'm gonna let you guys get to it. I'm sorry I didn't get more detail about what I eat. It's terrible, man. I don't have very much variety in my day. I eat almost the same thing every day. Let's say I would have tacos, like turkey tacos with blue corn chips. I'll take blue corn chips and I'll melt some raw sharp cheddar on there under the heat lamp and put some spices on it and even a little ketchup on it. And I'll eat that. Sometimes I'll take a purple corn chip and put avocado, and then I'll put some of my custom spice mix, which is like turmeric and onion and garlic and black pepper and cumin. I'll mix that. I mix that spice all the time. I put it on my. I'll make some blue anthocyanins. It's like a built-in antioxidant that comes in corn. Um, I only ever eat blue corn because of the antioxidants that are in it. Um, I don't think there's anything wrong with regular corn as long as you don't eat too much and as long as it's organic. A ton of peanut butter, yeah, I do, man. I swear I eat like almost a can a day. That's 3,500 calories a day. Gives me power. Like I can go out there and shovel and just like move blocks and stuff. If I don't have that peanut butter, I don't have the strength. I don't. I mean, I could dig down deep and get the strength, but the purple, yeah, the purple is anthocyanins, just like blueberries. Um, it's an antioxidant and it is anti-inflammatory and it's absent from the everyday corn for some reason. I don't know. I think blue corn is a smaller yield, so they probably because it takes energy from the plant to create those antioxidants. It's more expensive a little bit. I get it for about $4 a pound. It's probably one of my biggest sins that I'm eating corn chips. You know what I mean? That's not very. But I never eat them alone. You'll never catch me with a bag of corn chips just eating them. I smother them with cheese, avocados, and tons of spices. And I will sometimes put a little ketchup on there just for the heck of it. I'll do scrambled eggs. Sometimes I'll take my purple chips and I'll scoop out some eggs, like sunny side over eggs, with some spices and some grass-fed butter on there. Lots of cranberry juice. Will that save my liver? I would be wary of cranberry juice. Look at the ingredients and make sure they're not adding sugar to that. Salsa, yeah, awesome. Absolutely. It's vegetables, you know. You can almost, if you find vegetables that you like, you can pretty much eat as much of it as you want. Um, that's why I like the lentil and vegetable soup. The carbs are reasonable. It's like 30 something in a can. It does have some fat and some protein in there. I learned much better from you. Awesome. Oh yeah, wait a minute. Is that you, Lise? Dun, 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 trying to figure out how to figure out who's who. Yes, it is. It is Lise. Okay. I know somebody. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I ended it on accident, babe. Because of Lise. No, I know, I know. It's still kind of going. Maybe. Maybe not. No, I freaking X'd out of it somehow. No, I X'd out of the thing. Like, I was trying to look at to find out if Lise was Lise, and then I pushed buttons. I mean, my fingers are too big for this little thing. I don't even have big fingers.
Oh, okay, yeah. So if you want to end it here, because it is ended on Periscope.
Okay, so the video is still going, but Periscope's not going.
Right.
Okay.
You
No,
want to just
I mean,
end
it
it
was
now?
time to die down. I just,
Okay.
I didn't mean.